Okay, we're on.
We'll call the town board meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll start with the privilege of the floor, and I've had a letter submitted here. The other thing we're going to say is that anybody who would like to say something in privilege of the floor, Sandy, your number is?
You can call my number, 315-489-1613.
So call Sandy's phone that she has right there in front of her, if you have any additional privilege of the floor that you'd like to talk about. This is a letter, Supervisor Sweet and board members. I'm sure you don't hear this very often, but I'd like to thank you for your tireless effort in trying to get the town back on track and straightening out things that have been neglected for years. With that being said, we are now in very different times, and I, for one, as a taxpayer, am very concerned about how the COVID-19 conditions are going to affect our town economically, as I'm sure everyone is. I hope to attend the meeting tomorrow on the 8th, but in the event I can't make it, I wanted to share my feelings and thoughts with you in advance, as I'd like to bring up a public comment that's on the agenda. How do I turn this on, Mike?
It's just where it says on.
Yep, okay. I have heard some very disturbing things, mainly concerning the highway department. I'm hoping you confirm whether or not these are true. I understand the highway superintendent is looking into purchasing a new vehicle. I understand that none of the employees in the highway department have been laid off or have had hours reduced. How are these things possible at this point in time with all the economic uncertainty? One thing for sure is that the town's revenues are going to be drastically diminished. Therefore, the expenses, including payroll, have to be cut. I would like to suggest that the town put a moratorium on any major expenditures from any department until we know what the impact the situation will have on our income. Additionally, current operating expenditures such as payroll should be reduced regardless as to whether there is work or not. I don't relish the idea of putting anyone out of a job, but there is barely a company or municipality around that hasn't made reductions in anticipation of the income loss. Second, I'd like to ask that the town has a complete inventory list of vehicles in both the highway and DPW, and there is a 1, 5, or 10-year plan for the replacement of these vehicles. In the short time that Mike Tibbles has been the highway superintendent, that is the second vehicle that he's requesting to purchase that I know of. If we do not have this inventory list and plan in place, I'd like to suggest we do this immediately so that purchasing decisions can be made well in advance and all town officials and taxpayers know at what point vehicles will and should be purchased. The last suggestion I'd like to make is to look into if contracting out more of our highway jobs instead of doing them in-house will be more cost effective. There could be the possibility of reducing payroll, insurance, workman's comp, equipment, maintenance, and purchasing. Not to mention, most likely, a quick turnaround and a job completion, plus guaranteed workmanship. Thank you in advance for your time, and I look forward to discussing this at the meeting. Stacy. A couple comments I have in relation to that. I believe at the last meeting we agreed to not purchase the vehicle. Did we make a decision on that?
I think so. Yes, we voted to.
So we agreed to not purchase that vehicle. And we have been working on a yearly plan or future year plan as far as replacement of vehicles, because we know of 2 vehicles right now that we want to replace, and obviously we've had to put that off for this year. Mike Tibbles has put in place a plan for his replacement of plow trucks that pretty much is what has been asked for by our accountant Sherry last year and by Nicole, just so that we have some forecasting, because these plow trucks are $215,000 a piece, and we have tried to put together a plan as far as that's concerned. So that's a couple things that I have in relation to that letter. Does anybody else have any other comments about it? Sandy, do you have any? Nobody's got a hold of you about questions or privilege to the floor?
No, nobody's called yet. No, we have addressed a lot of these issues already last meeting.
Yep.
Just in case the public isn't aware, we are doing these meetings every couple weeks now just to try to stay on top of things. And we are aware about the budget and all of that, so.
And we laid two personnel off at the that was at the last meeting, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we laid two personnel off, I believe the reason, Bob, was lack of work.
Yes.
And we've had, people that are currently working for us that have other jobs, the water and sewer people that are gonna be taking over those work duties that those people did.
Right, to be clear, lack of work isn't that there's not,
Yeah.
that there's no work in the town, it's just no work for them in the
Yeah.
town. That's
Right.
the lack of work.
I did receive a phone call in regard to the cemeteries, saying that they felt the, company that we had do the cemeteries did a very nice job. There was also a question about people taking glass into the cemeteries, and I asked that person if there's, we should put a sign up, and apparently it's one of those things where there are signs up and people do what people do.
Yep.
So unfortunately, people are taking glass in there, so there's broken urns and things like that in the cemetery.
Yeah.
But, they just wanted, the board to know that the company that's been doing that, they feel does a very nice job. And that was, Tinker, Canestra, who I think is on that committee,
Where'd Russ go? Is he still here?
I think he's outside.
They're saying this live stream isn't working.
Oh, no, I just asked Dorothy and she said it was
Really?
fine, they could hear everything. Are your lights green, Mike?
He gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
I did what he told me.
Dorothy said she's getting it fine and it was nice and clear, 'cause I asked her when you were reading the letter.
Okay.
I'll,
must be somebody that's got my internet provider, like dial-up.
it's working fine, she just said.
Okay.
Pat Simpson's calling me, I won't answer that.
Yeah, she's, in
Well, maybe
Redwood,
I
they
should.
still got it. She's hearing all of it.
Yeah, Pat, we're in a meeting. He's in Florida watching in the sunny south and it's crystal clear and it's perfect.
Good.
Okay, sounds great, thanks for calling. Yeah, bye. Okay, so it's working. And Pam McDowell texted me and said it's working fine.
Okay.
Okay, so again, at the top of the, are we done with that,
No, the
letter?
last paragraph, Brent,
Huh?
the last paragraph, she's suggesting looking into contracting some of this, might be worth her while.
I think we gotta be careful with that. with
Yes,
our-
we do, but
Yeah.
we can't just ignore it,
No, I'd leave that to Mr. Sly as far as
of course.
discussion wise. I mean, how's the balance of the workload, summer versus winter? I guess that's one of the questions, how do other towns handle that? Is the workload for the highway department heavier in the winter time versus the summertime? And from what I've heard from people, the winter workload is higher, is that true?
Yeah, I would say definitely.
Okay,
I wouldn't,
Oh,
I mean, I don't know,
Different kind.
'cause I've never been there. I don't know if you would say it is higher or it's more critical, because if the roads are snowy and icy, it's more dangerous to be out. Whereas if you have a road that needs paving or has potholes, that's not good either, but can it be postponed? I would say the mowing of the sides of the roads, that's a health issue also, or safety issue, because if the grass gets too high and you can't see those deer, then there's more accidents and so on and so forth. So I wouldn't say that it was less, I would say it was different, and it's
kind.
more of a safety, and at this time, for this year, her comment towards the end, I don't know that we would be looking to outsource anything more, because do we have the money to pay for any of it to
Period.
start, period?
right,
If we have the money, I would rather see us use our own people.
Right.
But if there's not enough money to do enough projects to keep all of the people busy, then maybe that's when we need to look at reducing the workforce to reduce payroll and costs in that respect. But and I have talked to Mike about that, and I told him and his guys, you gotta get together and let us know what's going on, and
Well, what I can say, as far as like, say, the NYS DOT, where I work for, winter operations require more people. Summer operations require less people. I'm not saying it's less work, it's just less people. That's
Is that
that's the
because
model
when
the
they're
farmer
plowing, there
fixes.
has to be 2 people in a truck?
No, we don't, the DOT only does one.
Okay,
But they have 2 shifts, so it just requires, like I would have, 65 full-time staff in my county, but I would require, in the wintertime, I needed, 90. The way that the staffing worked out with 2 shifts, and, but so that means in the summertime, there were less people. I'm not saying it's less work, it's just less people.
right.
I have a comment in connection with the comment about hiring outside source for highway work. It's a unionized unit, and they'll be claiming exclusive unit work if you hire an outside contractor to do work that they traditionally do, and that's an improper practice charge.
Right.
And it's a winner too, I might add. So, you either decide that you don't want to do work, and you just don't have it done, or you use your crews to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so.
Yep. Also, in relation to something that Sandy said about mowing the sides of the road, we used to do the sides of the roads and cut brush and do a lot of that stuff, and we used to do that by hand. Now we have 2 machines that the operator rides inside of the cab of the machine with all the controls and does everything from inside that cab. So you've got 2 people that realistically can be full-time, 8 hours a day, doing the sides of the roads. And I noticed a few years ago when we bought the first new machine, that it was really making things a lot easier and saved a lot of work. Because before you'd have guys in the ditches with handsaws cutting their stuff. Now you go one guy in a machine going by and pushing levers and cutting it, you know. So that's something. And we did in the budget last year have a new tractor for the highway barn, and I know that new tractor has been delivered to Watertown, to Waldorf's, and that we probably will have that before very long here. So we'll have 2 very good machines and a backup machine to do those roads and those ditches. So that's where we
So that
stand.
was a labor-saving purchase.
Huge.
Those machines with the articulated arm on it.
Yep, no question. Any other comments about the letter, or anything in the letter? We'll move on to the first item on the agenda, which is just talking about the fact that this is live streaming, and according to the text messages and phone calls I got, it's working and it's clear. And again, I'm also saying again that Robert's rules will be on the back of every agenda. It's not on the back of this one because the public's not here. Again, we're going to mention number 3, which is the change of the monthly meeting date to the 4th Wednesday of every month, starting on April 22nd, which is our meeting in 2 weeks from tonight. That meeting is at 6 o'clock. These special meetings, we've been doing them at 5 o'clock. We're looking for a change in the meeting for the 4th Wednesday in May. And the reason is because that is the pre-scheduled once a year grievance day. That can't be changed. That has to be on that date in the evening, and they need the whole room. Okay. So we gotta come up with a date.
What's the 20th look like? That's a conflict for you, isn't it, Sandy?
I would prefer not to do it the 20th, but if we have to, we have
the reason we moved it was because the 3rd Wednesday you had a conflict.
Right.
So we either go to a different Wednesday or we go to a Tuesday or Thursday around that Wednesday. Or whatever everybody wants to do.
Do a day around the Wednesday. We gotta have this room, right, because we got the room, we got the space.
What time is their thing on grievance day?
It's usually a 3 or 4 hour deal, isn't it, Bob? They do grievances for,
Depends on how many people show up.
Yeah.
if you wanna talk about a time, and possibly changing the time, I have to talk to Shooky and find out when that is. But he immediately
Why not
notified
just
me.
pick the Tuesday or
Tuesday the
Thursday?
26th?
That'd work.
Okay with me.
We can't meet in that back room anymore, not enough room, so.
No,
You gotta
we
be-
got,
Is there,
this,
Yeah, we gotta have this.
is there,
Well, the-
court that, well, we don't know if there'll be court that night.
I can, I should go look at the calendar that's there on the wall. Tuesday the 26th, see what it's got on there, because Shucky's been putting all that stuff on there. In the meantime, while Ronnie's looking, I did get a text, in regards to that letter, and that the outsourcing that was talked about in that letter was meant for major road work, not for mowing, and so on and so forth, so. And
Okay, that's still their primary job.
yeah,
I'm just using the mowing as an example of things that shouldn't be put off.
yep,
But that is exactly what Bob was talking about, is if we have the money to do a major road paving or project, that's their job. So if we do that to someone else,
Now, one of the things that I mentioned to Mike, and I mentioned to a couple of board members, is some of the road work that we do each year is either paving a road or double surface treating a road. And Suitco Corporation has the state bid. So since I've been here, we've always had Suitco do those jobs. And when Suitco comes in and does a job, they do the job. In other words, they have the paver operator, the attendants, and the roller operator. They bring all their own people. It's part of what we pay them per day to do. We usually, what do we provide? We usually provide flagmen, maintenance and protection of traffic, it's called, right, Mike?
Yep.
That's the part that the town's responsible, and that's usually a couple guys
But
on
you
each
can
end of
also
the
pay them to
job.
do that too.
Yeah,
That's in the OGS contract.
right. So that's just to clarify the deal about road work. You know, we did the bridge job, we did most of it ourselves last year with a little bit of help from the county. That was something that our guys did, you know. I don't believe Mike has any jobs like that planned for this year, and actually he's looking at his road jobs and trying to see where he's gonna cut back and what he's gonna cut back, that he plans on cutting back, I know, so. Did we decide on a date?
the 26th is wide open, court is the 19th, the week
Okay.
before.
So you wanna do 26th at 6 o'clock?
sure.
Is that okay with everybody?
When are we talking about?
Day before,
May 26th, Tuesday at 6 o'clock, change the board meeting to,
Okay.
need a motion?
I'll make that motion. Change the meeting to Tuesday before to the 26th.
I'll second it.
Motion by John, second by Sandy, any discussion? Everybody's okay with Tuesday, the 26th? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay. On to, number 5 is just, to tell you that stat installation of permanent video equipment for live streaming here at the town office has been done. Everybody, people that are watching it, I've got text messages that it's working great, and phone calls, and we also at the last meeting, and again, we'll tell everybody that this facility, this room, according to our schedule and a calendar that we have, is available to local organizations and local groups and nonprofits to use. Just get a hold of us here at the town office, and we can talk about scheduling a meeting or anything else that you might want to do it and have it live streamed. The new camera system at the sewer plant has been installed. We approved both of these last two at the last meeting, and that's been installed and working, and everybody, I believe a bunch of board members have the whole systems now on their cameras, or on their phones. The next item is this Redwood Water and Sewer Lake fee request. That's number 7, that's Mike Tibbles. Yeah, Mike? Yeah. It is a live feed. I've had 4 people tell us that it's working fine and doing great. Hold on a second here, Mike. I want to put you on speakerphone. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I just want to reiterate that I understand some people's concerns. We are not New York State. We don't have 90 to 100 people working. We got 9 guys. I need the 9 guys. I have the work for them. We're going to see through this coronavirus thing. Things are going to straighten out. And I have the work. gonna do some work if we keep our CHIPS money. And we're gonna mow the lawns, and we still do cut the shoulders of the roads. We have chippers out, we had them out all spring.
Yeah.
Chipping the sides of the roads, cleaning the stuff up that couldn't be done. It couldn't be mowed because the branches and the stuff like that. Believe me, if I don't have the work,
Hey, Mike,
if I don't have the work, I will come to you.
my phone's down to 2%, so if mine get cuts off, call Sandy's, okay?
Yep, and we're gonna do the docks, we're gonna help the townspeople out. My guys are taking vacation time, they're taking their time off, they wanna help. I don't want my roads and everything to become a safety issue, because some people have these vendettas still. And someday, their hearts will change, and we'll get over all this stuff. And I guess that's the way it is, Brent. I have the word for my guys, we're staying our distances, we're doing our jobs, we're putting our trucks together. I'm willing to help you and Sandy go forward and straighten this whole mess out. And then I guess that's where I stand, my friend.
Okay,
Right?
yep. You gotta deal with the whole board, Mike, there's 5 of us, so you gotta work with all of us, not just Brent and Sandy, so.
I know.
I just wanna be clear about that.
Taking care of the town barn, and that's what I deal through for now.
Okay,
All right?
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think we need to make clear that, just like with the 2 people we laid off at the last meeting, it's not a matter of, is there work to be done? Just we're not going to do certain work. There's not work for those people. Cause I hear what Mike's saying, and I'm not questioning that he's got work to do, but what we're talking about is an income stream that's been going to be negatively impacted, and basically not doing something that would normally get done.
Yeah.
So I'm not questioning that he's got work for him.
And one of the words that's been used a lot in this situation is essential versus non-essential.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think you could take, an idea of what Mike's work is that he has for the next month, let's say. And if he was to put it all down on a piece of paper, I think there would be things on that piece of paper that you could check off that would be non-essential. You know, if the grass on the side of the roads, instead of only letting it grow 1 foot high, or 6 inches high, it grows 1 foot high. I mean, Sandy had a good comment about that. Grass needs to be mowed, there's deer that run across the roads, and that's a safety issue. It definitely is a safety issue, but I think that something that we read about in every day now is essential versus non-essential.
Okay, I just need to interrupt here a little bit. You can make that argument and get no argument from me, but if we have a complete lack of funds, that's when you gotta make a hard decision, whether, you know, I mean, you could say, like Ronnie's saying, you got lots of work, but if you don't have the money to pay for it, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I mean, really, seriously.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have some money,
I know, I realize that,
but we're gonna have less.
yeah,
And we're trying to make the 2 fit.
right, that's what I say, you can't just say, I got work for 9 people, but if you don't have the money for 9 people,
Right.
then you gotta make a decision.
Right.
And that, you know, nobody's saying anything bad about anybody, that's just a reality.
Right.
Okay. This Redwood water sewer rate, everybody saw this, got a copy of this electronically, this is number 7. There's items in your paperwork are numbered, there's a complete history here and a timeline, of what went on. I've looked at this a bunch of times, and I think, Attorney Sly had some very good comments at the last meeting along those lines, and that is that, when you buy a piece of property, one of the first things you do is you get a hold of National Grid and you get the service switched over. National Grid is the electric service, well, you got water and sewer, and you got propane or heating oil, you got all these different things that go with a piece of property, so if you're used to doing one, I'm sure you do all of them. The other issue on this piece of property is the person that is asking for the waiving of the late fees previously had a bill on another property in the town of Alexandria, is that right?
Right next door.
Right next door. And you guys, everybody speak up a little bit and continue with what I'm saying, but I just don't see a valid reasoning that we can do this. I do see that a future change in the EDU charge for this person, because they're working their property, they're taking a 2-apartment house and making it into a single-family residence. So instead of being charged 0.75 and 0.75 EDUs to equal 1.5 for that structure, it would go to 1 when they get that done, and not only that, but how does everybody feel about that? Do we send somebody in there now, or do we look at it and see if it's, if it is a one-person home now, and do we change it now? Or how do we, Mike, do you know, does our ordinance tell us how we do that?
Well, we have, in the ordinance, we have a grievance process. And it's up to them to come and tell us that like the current house that's got, what, 2 apartments, and then there was a thing in the back.
Yep.
I mean, it's up to them to tell us that it's no longer that. We can't read their mind.
They need a permit to change that to one apartment? Yeah, that's what they gotta do, they gotta get the permit.
Yep.
Yeah.
We know what's going on.
The permit puts us on notice.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a personal responsibility, or in this case, the property owner.
And what do we do about the residence in back, which I think is John, maybe you know, is it a trailer?
Isn't that a little building?
Yeah, it was an apartment though, right?
Yeah, a little apartment building, it is no longer, they want it to be a shop.
So, and didn't they say in here that they're gonna make it a workshop?
I think that's what they said, I'm not sure, but it's not gonna be an apartment anymore, but, so they should get a permit and say this is no longer gonna be an apartment.
So Mike, what is the difference in an EDU charge for an apartment versus a workshop?
Well, workshop would be
No.
0. I mean,
That's
as long as there's not a bathroom in it, you know.
Well, there has to be a bathroom in it now for it to be an apartment.
Right, but if there's no bathroom in it, it's just like a garage and there's nothing in it.
Well, I think you could have a bathroom, but no kitchen, I mean, you could have a workshop out back with.
Well, if you have a bathroom in it, it's hooked up to the sewer, there's gotta be a charge. I mean, it can't be nothing.
Right.
I don't know, but.
Yeah.
I should say they gotta come in and get a permit and say we're gonna put it
Right.
back on 1 family,
Right,
and then
Yep.
that's it.
yep.
Up until then, they bought it with 2 apartments, 3 apartments, and that's the way it goes.
I'm gonna disagree. I went back and forth several times with whether or not we should entertain the idea of letting the interest go towards the next payment. And I've even decided, no, we shouldn't, because of the fact when I was going through the bills today, I seen that it goes to the son, I believe it was the mother that wrote this, and the mother may live out of town, but she bought the property right next door to the son, it's in the son's name. I did the exact same thing when I bought the tavern, and it was my mistake, my onus, and I feel it was their mistake. They didn't get a bill, they should have asked questions, they didn't. I do feel this letter basically is a grievance. And they're saying, they have no water turned on, and they're getting 2.25 EDUs for sewer. I think they should be getting 1. And I think this grievance is asking that, hey, what can be changed, because this is our intent. When they ask for the water to come back on, and they do their application process, then we look at them and we can reassess them again. But right now, while there is no water being used, which means there's no sewer being used, charging them 2.5 EDUs, I think is wrong. So I think their sewer EDU should go to 1. But they pay the interest and the penalties they incurred. That's unfortunately a hard learning lesson, which I learned the same thing, and I feel their pain and frustration, but there is, the new property owner's onus to figure out the billing and all of that, but I do feel that the letter is a grievance. She has explained what they're going to do, what they're using it for, and while there is absolutely no water running through this place, they're obviously not using the sewer. It should be 1.
Yeah, I think, Mike, that this letter would definitely fit the terms of a grievance.
I don't agree with that.
What's that?
I don't agree with that at all.
Agree with what?
That it doesn't,
suffice?
It isn't, the town has a grievance process. It's on our website,
Is it a form?
yes. And, 40 people, over 40 people have used it so far. If we don't adhere to that, then anybody could complain about anything, and say it's something else. I mean,
It doesn't say write a
but I
letter
just-
to
I
the
just
board,
have to-
because that's what I thought I read.
I was gonna say, I gotta take some blame there, because this lady called us, and Nicole and I were on the phone with her for an hour. And she was telling us the whole history of what's happened here and explaining it, and it took quite a while to explain it. And since there was so many different elements to it, I said to her that, would she please write a letter to the board? So, I gotta take the blame, you know,
Okay,
I guess I should've said, go online, download the grievance and.
It's a process, and we've told that to countless people. You can't start cherry picking, but I need to come back to something that Sandy was saying, okay, no water, something like that. We have a number of places in Redwood, that houses have been broken up to apartments, that they're not being rented. So there's no water being used, the sewer's not being used, they're still being charged as if they're an apartment.
Yeah.
And that's consistent throughout the Hamlet of Redwood. So just because they don't have somebody in there and they're not being used, water being used, that's their choice, for whatever reason.
Well, it's not really their choice, because if I remember correctly, and this wasn't in this letter, but I believe that house was condemned. And
Yep,
that's
but-
why it went up for sale, and she has said to us in the letter, you know, until they make the improvements so that it's inhabitable again.
Then, just like you're exactly, you're saying it, then that's when they gotta come and say, hey, it's no longer this, it's this. But they're not doing that, they're just saying, we want this, but we're not gonna do anything, we're not gonna change any of the way it currently is, we're just saying we're going to.
Buyer beware, buyer bought the house that was condemned. I don't know if it was condemned, I'm not sure if we got somebody over there and had it condemned. I know we were in the process of doing that, but they bought a house, whether it was condemned or not, they obviously looked at the house, knew that somebody wasn't gonna move into that house the day after they bought it, and they're there working on it. And the one thing I agree with Mike on here is that, they're hooked up to water and sewer, and they're able to have water and sewer. They should be, in my eyes, they should be paying the debt service, the capital and the O&M on the fact that they're hooked up to water and sewer.
Oh, I agree.
And,
But I think they should be paying what everybody else is paying, which is the $124.95 and the $162.
Yep.
Not the $300 and some odd dollars for just the sewer that they're not using.
I mean, will anybody agree with me that, due to what I said to the lady, that this paper really needs to act as her grievance?
I will,
Because, what's that?
I will.
Yeah. Because I probably should have said, go online, download the form, file a grievance.
Right.
Okay, so, okay.
I said, you know, send us a letter, explain the situation, because it was a very, as you can see by this letter, it was a very detailed situation.
Right. How long ago did she send the letter? Cause I don't think the letter.
It's been at least 2 months. Because we discussed it last month.
Remember we
Well, it was
talked,
2 weeks ago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I think it was probably about 3 to 4 weeks ago.
okay.
Because we did discuss it at the last meeting, and we had some questions on the timeline, and that's when we asked for Nicole to create the complete timeline as she's done.
Who usually goes through, when the form is submitted, who's it go to? Is there a committee?
On board.
It comes to us?
We have done this in the past.
Yeah.
I know, but I couldn't remember if it went to the sewer committee first, before
Oh,
it came.
yeah, that, we have.
And then
has
the
done
sewer
that.
committee expresses an opinion, and then it comes to the board for a final decision.
Don't they have to come in and get a paperwork for a permit, right? Wouldn't that be the first thing, when you buy something, say, I no longer want all these apartments, you get a permit and say, I'm gonna change it? I would say at that point, that's when it stops.
Right. That's a matter of, they didn't realize that. I'm
Well-
assuming yes. No,
They haven't started the work on it.
So-
I've been there. As soon as we got this first letter, I went for a walk and I went and found the place, and I said, what is this place? Because for me, I'm very visual, so I went to Redwood and I took a walk and I said, it's right here on 37 somewhere, and I'm like, oh goodness, and I walked the whole house, the whole property. There's nobody there. They haven't started anything.
They were there,
Still what it was.
they were there 3 days ago. I was across the street at Nate's and had sawhorses set up in the driveway, and
So
then,
they're getting started now. Spring is breaking and they're getting started.
yeah. So, well, I agree with changing it to one EDU. I don't wanna say what I think about the place out back, because if it's got plumbing and water hooked up to it, and it's got a bathroom in there, then I think, Mike, you're saying a workshop is still,
I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying it
if
is.
it's got water and sewer though, it's,
It was an apartment building of some variety. I'm just saying.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed, except somebody wants to pay a lesser bill. That's the only thing that's changed.
So they should get a permit and change it.
That's nothing's, if we go with the direction you guys wanna go, every single apartment owner is gonna say, okay, last quarter, that apartment laid empty. Don't charge me for that. That is what is literally going to happen.
I thought what was being asked was, it's eventually gonna be a one single family
Eventually,
house.
Okay,
So when they take action to do that, then it goes to one EDU.
that kicks our,
I agree,
Right.
Ron.
But the thing in the back is the same, I guess the place is the same as it was when they bought it.
from the outside.
Everybody's in agreement, nothing has happened to the place.
correct.
So if it's the same as it was when it was first purchased, it seems like all the bills should be the same as when they first purchased it. Once they start doing something to make it so it's not a duplex, so it was a duplex plus something in the back, how'd you get 2.5 or 2 1/4?
0.75.
Oh, it's 3, so 0.75 each one? Okay. So I mean, when they physically make it into something other than what it is, I could see then your argument has been made. But if it hasn't been touched since they bought it, you can't make the argument that it should be something other than what it was, because it is what it was.
I like that way of putting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way of putting it, then I'm, okay.
It's unfortunate, and you know,
So they should, tomorrow should get a permit to put it back to what they want, right?
and yeah, and then they physically.
Tomorrow or whenever, as soon as they come in and get a
Put
permit.
it back to
they-
what they want, and also get a permit, and also file a grievance with us to change it.
Right.
Yep.
Make it into a single family, and then, I guess then it would become, if they all of a sudden wanna had 2 families in there, then it's up to code enforcement to make sure, because once it becomes a single family and gets charged as a single family, it can only be 1 apartment.
You know, just generally speaking, you never touch somebody's request for a variance, right? Why? Because you have the zoning board of appeals and they deal with it. When these get into, before a public body, they're just nothing but a hot potato. That's what you have a committee for, okay? And I hate to be that way about it, but they're tasked with trying to be consistent for everybody within that sewer district. They hear these things all the time. You hear one and you feel certain ways, okay, but they've got to deal with the cold reality, the committee does, that
Right.
as they deal with 10 of these a year, here's how we deal with them. So I would suggest in the future, when things like this come up, just refer them to the committee, let the committee deal with it, make its recommendation, because otherwise, you politicize whether somebody's got 2 bathrooms or 1.
We're short-circuiting the
It
process.
doesn't need to be a political question, it just
Yeah.
needs to be handled consistently from person to person.
Because normally we act on the recommendation of the
You're right.
committee,
Yeah.
You're right.
and it needs to stay that way.
Yep.
Sometimes it's hard to say no when you're a politician, I understand that, okay? So,
Okay, so I know Nicole's listening, that we need to get a hold of them tomorrow and tell them what we decided, that they need to go through the proper permit process and the proper grievance process in order for us to change the billing, procedure here. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, next item, COVID effect on budget revenue sales tax. I think I provided everybody with a chart here. That's at number 10. No, that's number 8, I'm sorry. That's just a chart that's been a little bit updated from the last time. It talks about the this has got a 25% loss in sales tax. If everybody saw the news the other night, they were talking, what'd they say, Ron, between 3 and 12% or something?
Yeah.
There was an article in the Watertown Times a week and a half ago that said that between 10 and 24%. We don't know. We have no idea what it's gonna be. I think everybody thinks it's gonna be significant if it gets into our heavier sales tax quarter, which we all hope it doesn't. So, but these are just some figures out there. The news people have talked to both Ronnie and I this week, and we said that our total budget for our 4 funds is 43% supported by sales tax. You can see the different percents, General A 34, General B 45%, DA 46%, and DB 72%. The DB is by far the highest one, and this is just, that's what the numbers are. So, anybody else got some comments on that?
Just the fact that, basically we're looking at 4 funds. And I think each fund is a little bit unique as what comprises it. And so what we can do in regard to cutting in each fund is different. So I think each fund needs to be looked at, because I think everybody's in agreement that we're gonna have less money. And with that in mind, we've gotta cut. And then the decision is, how are we gonna do it?
So I think one of the things that maybe we all ought to do is we all ought to take some time and look at the budget. I started to do this yesterday, and I started a worksheet that I was gonna provide for tonight, and it got too complicated for me to be able to produce the whole thing for all these funds for tonight. But I just took these dollar figures that are here in front of us of how much each fund could possibly have for less revenue or loss of revenue. And I looked at each fund and to see where we would cut and other things. In other words, things that I'm gonna say were non-essential. You know, looking in General B, I saw, you know, we have the enhancement line items in there. You know, that would be one of the first places I would think we could cut, is in the village and the town. There's 2 enhancement line items that are for when we like to fix up playgrounds and when we like to do things like that, even though I don't wanna take money away from these playgrounds because they're very important for the kids. So every time you look at something, you find reasons to not cut it, you know. I had no problem with cutting in General A. And the reason I had no problem is because of the Bonnie Castle Stables project, it was in there. And there's $202,000 in there of monies to go towards that, and I think everybody here has agreed that we're not gonna spend a dime up there until we get grants or we get whatever it may be. So, there's no problem with General A. General B is a low dollar amount. DA and DB are significant dollars. I think we probably need to have Mike, and he's done a little bit of this already, or maybe he's done a lot of this, go through and specifically pick out projects and areas that he's gonna cut.
Right.
And I don't know how everybody feels about the 25% figure that I'm using here, but something that I've learned in budgeting is you always start higher than what you really think it's gonna be. And I really hope it's not gonna be 25%, but I start at 25%. So, anybody else have any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's important to identify a number and then work towards that number. So you've identified a number which is $440,000, and we can have a discussion whether that's a good number, bad number, but at least it's a number to put into perspective what the cuts might look like. And you mentioned Bonnie Castle Stables. That was what, 202?
Yeah.
That's almost half of it right there. And then you get into, as you said, you got the essential and the non-essential. And going through there and highlighting, like say the transfer site. Transfer site is an essential service. So we gotta leave that alone, so that part of where the fund that is in needs to be left alone. Our water and sewer, you know, those need to be left alone. So you get all the essential off to the side to see what you got left, and you've got, say, $240,000 that you'd like to come up with, and then you start looking at it, see where it's gonna hurt the least.
And the other thing too is, the further we get into the year, the less maneuvering room we're gonna have.
Yes, cause we're a calendar year organization, the village is not, so they're just getting into their new, budget year. But
We're
every day
already
that goes by, our hands are getting a little more tied,
We're 25% into the year.
yeah. Yeah, actually
And-
more,
You know, as I said,
Because we're a calendar year, we got winter in November.
yeah,
So we got, you know, we're gonna need to have money for that.
yeah,
So we can't touch that, so, you know, you're gonna find yourself in a,
yeah, May, June, July, August, September,
there's
October, yeah.
there's gonna be some stuff. There's no way around it.
yeah. Any other comments?
So the intent would be to come, we've got a meeting 2 weeks from tonight, right?
Unless anybody feels they need to have one sooner than that, I figured 2 weeks would be okay.
I agree, I would rather, you know, the county, if you're watching the news, the county has said, you know, it could be upwards of 24% revenue loss, and that's just from our sales tax. If you've listened to the state side of it, they have also said that, you know, any grants or any of these sort of things that they've put out, they're gonna disappear too. So I'm not savvy enough with these budgets yet to know, you know, what projects we had where, but that just tells me that we may lose some of our state stuff also. And so, yeah, I would definitely rather be more conservative and go with, you know, if they're telling us 24, let's say 25 at least, and go, cause you can always
You can always put it back.
put it back in and do more, you know, late summer, early fall if things turn around, but
Right.
we don't know.
It's like Mike said, as we go forward, we lose the ability to cut, we cut now, we can always add later,
Yep,
add back in.
Because, like I said, come November, we're gonna have to have a pot of money to pay staff to plow roads.
Right.
So, you know,
I sent everybody an email a couple days ago, and I talked about some other revenue decreases, and it goes along with what Sandy's saying. There's other areas that the state gives us money. We kinda have lost that AIM money, they put that someplace else, didn't they, Mike?
let's see it again?
AIM money,
The AIM money, they,
Yep. Yeah, they kinda played a shell game.
yeah,
They claimed they put it back, or made us whole, but they, not really.
yeah.
But for us, it's only like, I think about 17,000, 20,000, something like
Right.
that.
Now, the other categories that I
The
mentioned
CHIPS
is
money,
that money, the revenues at our dump are down at a transfer site. They're down, I'm gonna say 15 to 20%. Who knows what's gonna go on with the hockey arena next year for revenues. And I brought it up to Nicole yesterday, we do $89,000 a year in mortgage tax. And from what I'm watching on TV, there's not a lot of property sales going on. So there's other areas that the town has revenue that are in these, and fund these funds, that there's gonna be less money.
Well, you were telling me the CHIPS doesn't look very good either, there's a
And
problem.
I sent everybody an email yesterday on CHIPS, and the state, the governor's office put out an email to everybody, and I got my notification through the Association of Towns, and CHIPS is one of the funds that they have said the budget can be amended to take reduced CHIPS money for safety, health, welfare, and government activities, was the last thing. I quoted that in that email I sent everybody. So basically that, as I wrote in my last sentence, they have a license to steal whatever they want. And I know that Mike is hoping to do some payroll and some things out of his CHIPS money. And, if we lose that CHIPS money, or it gets decreased or whatever, we're gonna have a real problem. And the problem there is that, suppose they don't take the CHIPS money until 3 or 4 months from now. And we've been planning on that CHIPS money, well, then we got a problem. So, I think everybody should take a real serious look at this budget, ask questions, and
Something else we might wanna think about, let's go back to the DOT and see about plowing, Route 26 and get that money. That was between $70,000 and $100,000.
Yep.
That would've been nice to have.
Yep. Yep, that's something we could look at too. I mean, we haven't plowed it for 2 years, and we've plowed it for the rest of, pretty much the life of the town of Alexandria. I think the revenue was $77,000 that we got for it.
Well, sometimes, you know, they bumped it up, it was between 70 and 100.
Yeah.
That was nice money, and it was easy to do.
One of the
I
other
think we
lines,
definitely have the employees to do it, right?
Yep, we drive on that road anyway, but I'm just saying, we gotta start looking for revenue.
another line item we've got, like under A, is $104,000 in fines and bails.
Yeah.
And our court shut down, right? But our expenses are 100%.
100%.
And I'm assuming that being shut down will have an effect on those fines and, I mean, bail, I would assume bail goes back to the person, so the fines, I'm assuming, if you're not having court, I can't see how the fines would stay
Well,
the
if you
same.
drive on 81, there's nobody there, who are they gonna find?
Yeah, that's true,
Okay, I mean, there's nobody driving on Route 81.
yeah, there's only,
I mean, from that standpoint, that $104,000 is over 12 months.
yeah,
You basically might take 2 months out of that 12 months out of there,
yeah,
to look at it that way.
yeah,
You know, so that's $8,000 a month, you could have $16,000 less there.
gone, yeah, yeah. Anyway, I just wanna point that out.
No, that's a good point, yep. Okay, that was, that was number 8. Number 9, so everybody's heard, Mike called me a week ago, said, you better check out the floating docks at Butterfield Lake, they're sinking. So that night I went down there before dark and walked out on the docks and went over to the right side of the floater, and the floater started sinking underwater, and I had to immediately go back the other direction to stay out of the water. And make a long story short, there's 5 floating docks down there. I think there's 4 25-footers and a 40-footer, or roughly. Mike went and got Ralph Wagner. He was down there on Monday, and they started assessing the situation. They unhooked the floating docks, they pulled them into shore, they pulled them out of the water one at a time. They got holes in the steel tubes. The steel tubes were very rusted. Now Mike has had the tubes all pressure cleaned, and you can see the metal on them very clearly. The metal is very rusted, it's pitted. I talked to John Duran about this at the Building Supply, who deals a lot with floating docks and tubes, and he said that there's people that fill these with foam, and the contractor on Wellesley Island that's working at the Thousand Islands Club is familiar with it, so we got a hold of him, and we found a couple companies that fill these with foam. And Ralph Wagner feels, and so does the contractor, that if we sandblast or clean these docks up, put 2-part epoxy on them, and fill them with foam, that we could probably give these docks another 20 to 25 years. Right now they're about, I think we figure they're about 23 years old. So Mike went out and got some quotes on some foam, and he only was able to get one contractor that had marine certified Coast Guard approved foam to go in those docks. And that contractor was out of Clayton, and you have a price here. What number is that?
9.
You have a price here of $11,400. And that is to fill all the docks with foam with the marine certified Coast Guard approved foam. We were only able to get one price with that product. We would do the rest of the work ourselves from the town barn, and they would, they've already cleaned them all up, and they pressure sprayed them. They'd have to prepare them for sandblasting and then do the painting, and they can do all that themselves. And we need to make a decision on if we're gonna move forward and do do the 11,400 to these docks. I know that since we pulled these docks out a week ago, I've had a lot of phone calls about what are we doing and what's gonna happen, and are they going back, and are they going back in there, and when are they going back in? What are everybody's thoughts?
Well, you and me have spoke about this, at some point in time, this virus stuff is gonna end, and we wanna be ready for that. And one of the things is having things like this in place.
It'd be nice to get another price, I mean, that's the only hesitation I've got. I mean, the concept of doing it certainly seems to make sense. I mean, they're using the metal tubes as forms, kind of.
Yep.
And you fill them full of foam, you know,
Probably something
20,
they should've
25
done
years.
to start off with.
What's that?
Probably something they should have done to start off with.
Yeah. When you look at 20 years, it's like,
When they were building all these steel tube docks 20 years ago, nobody filled them with foam. The village bought floating docks from one of the best known dock makers there is over in Canada. They never filled them with foam. I think the village has fixed that dock a couple times down there with the head leaks.
when you get 20 years.
Mike did get another price, and it was $9,500, but it was not marine certified, and he couldn't guarantee it, and he didn't have Coast Guard approval.
Mhm.
He called a third person that he was given the information on, and they never returned his call, they never got back to him for a price.
And we gotta fix the docks, don't we? For a few people paying taxes on Butterfield Lake, down Alexandria.
Yeah, I just don't have any concept of whether that's a good price, bad price, or whatever.
We've gotta find out and do it.
Cause in 20 years, it's $600 a year, you know, it's a good deal. Cause that's labor, the whole thing, right? That's,
For the foaming.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the cleaning the outside, the painting of the outside, that's the highway guys are doing
Yep.
that, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's 4 25-foot docks with 2 tubes each, and there's a 40 or 50-foot dock with 2 tubes. So you got 300 feet roughly of tube.
Yeah, it says 3,800, quantity 3,800, I don't know if that's a cubic foot or
Yeah.
what it is.
So it's gotta be Coast Guard approved, right, I would think.
Yeah.
So you think about it, it's not exposed to the water, but eventually it will be exposed to the water.
I'll tell you, if you saw how much these tubes are pitted,
Won't be long, huh?
well, put it this way, you sure as heck wouldn't wanna say, well, we can spend $1,000 or $2,000 and weld up the holes
Yeah.
and patch them and put them back in the water, because it was a lot of work for those guys to pull those tubes out. There was a pavilion on one of them, on the big T floater, there was a pavilion. And they basically had to build a structure around the roof of the pavilion so they could lift it off with the town's, excavator.
Yeah.
Or Grado.
So unless we can get another price off of somebody that we think is better, we're kinda here, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, for
We gotta fix the dock.
11.4 is not, I'm just thinking, if you get somebody from farther away, mobilization in and out and stuff, it's gonna chew some money up, it's not a huge number.
Yep.
We gotta have it.
Yep.
So I need a motion.
I make the motion that we, hire this company to fix that dock.
To spray foam the docks.
Yep,
As per the specs in this quote.
that's for the quote.
I'll second.
Second by Ron, any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No. Motion passed.
The only thing I would ask is if they time it right, because they're talking about if it's gotta be heated or whatever. I don't know how many days they think it's gonna take. I would assume it'll go pretty quick. But most of those foams need to be a certain temperature, because they gotta react and actually expand and everything, and temperature is critical. There's just on the bottom there.
Yeah, I incur a trip fee. I think that we're gonna ask Mike to make sure that we don't incur any trip fees.
Okay.
Okay with that? Added to it?
Yep.
Okay. Number 10 is the equipment insurance replacement value versus current value. I've been asking a lot of questions to our insurance people. They've got these replacement value figures on a lot of our equipment, and for instance, the road grader over there that's 25 years old, we've got a $250,000 replacement value, which is probably what it would cost to go out and buy a new grader. So, my first question when they're asking me what I think of these numbers is, how much is our premium according to the value, the replacement value? Well, I finally got an answer this morning, and it's 22 cents per thousand. I've had a couple of discussions with Mike Tibbles about this, and we went over the list, and if that road grader burns up or blows up or whatever else, we're not gonna replace it. And we found 4 or 5 items on this list that if something happens to them, we probably are not gonna replace them. So, preliminarily, we look like we can probably save at least a couple $1,000s on our insurance premium, because they've always billed us and we've always paid a premium based on these replacement values that they've had. So, I just kinda giving everybody an update of where that is. I'll email everybody the equipment list I have tomorrow that has the values and the figures, but I spent some time going through this with Mike. Mike spent some time on the internet, researching replacement values, what you could buy these items for, and like I said, we're definitely, looks like we're going to save some money there. Also, in asking the questions about the premium, the people from Haler Francoon wrote me back yesterday and told me that they found a mistake in the premium calculations they did, and that they owe us a credit, and the credit that they owe us is about another $2,300. So it was nice to hear that. That's where we stand on that.
So, I have a question. So are you saying that, is the current insurance on this equipment for replacement value or current value?
Replacement value.
So you wanna take away replacement value?
Only on certain items. When we have a $215,000 Volvo plow truck burn up, we gotta replace it.
I'm just thinking of like Tom and Teresa, didn't they have was it like Teresa or somebody?
Yep.
Their town barn caught on fire.
Yeah.
So then, like you say, you got those $200,000 trucks inside.
Yep.
You want those to be at replacement.
When we have a $110,000 Ford tractor that we've got, one that's 4 years old and one that we're getting next month, burn up or something happens, we wanna replace it, and it's gonna cost us $110,000. So, we've gone through all these items that are important to us and that we need, and we need them in good shape, and we've gone through those and we've left replacement value insurance on those, and I think we've taken about 4 or 5 items that are old, and then we probably won't replace, or if we do replace them, we'll buy something used. Like for instance, the roller, there was a chipper in there, $85,000, different things like that. With Mike's recommendations, and I'm not sure exactly what pieces it was, but we moved those figures around. And we cut those figures that I think we're gonna see a couple $1,000 savings in that.
You take like the grader, I feel the same way as I do with the excavator. If we needed one, go lease one.
Yeah, yeah,
We won't need insurance on it.
yeah.
So are these pieces of equipment that we should be looking at selling, so that A, we don't have to carry insurance on it? Are these pieces of equipment that are infrequently used and sit there for 10 months out of the year? We don't wanna carry insurance, they're not worth a whole bunch, and we're better off doing, as John says, renting them once in a while?
I mean, a couple of the pieces of equipment that I talked with Mike about, you know, we don't use them a real lot, but we do use them. And he recommended that we put a really low replacement value on them. Because as I said, some of them we actually, if something happens to them, we probably won't replace, or we'll replace them in a more inexpensive way. Rather than, you know what they do with replacement costs, they go out and they find out the list price of a new piece.
Right.
So that's kinda where that comes from.
Yep. I know a little bit about replacement cost coverage. You have to insure it to at least 80% of that, okay?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then they prorate what your recovery is.
How old is this?
Well,
Well, by how much
by your
percentage
percentage
you're
of what you
insured
did,
for.
right, if
Yeah.
you don't insure to at least 80%, then they prorate. Secondly, it only covers casualty to it, of course, so if it burns up in a barn, as you referred to, that would be a casualty. If you just wear it out, obviously, it's not.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
so, I just wanted you to be aware of those two rules.
But getting to Sandy's point, if we're talking about if it were to burn up tomorrow, we're not gonna replace it, the question is, why do we have it now?
Yeah.
I think every piece of equipment over there, we use a little bit, the ones that I'm talking about on this list. For instance, the grader, we hadn't used it in a couple of years. I don't know if you guys remember, but I go back and forth to Redwood an awful lot, and I saw that grader come out on the road, every other winter or whatever, when all of a sudden you get that ice storm, and that ice is that thick on the road, they scrape that ice off that road with that grader. I've watched them do it. That grader was in rough shape. I don't know, Mike can tell us what we put into that grader last year, but I think we probably put $5,000 into that grader, and they basically rebuilt that grader, the controls, the hydraulics, everything. I watched them use that grader when we did the road, John, I think you saw that down there behind Felder's. When they did that road down there, I watched them use that grader, worked fantastic. So we do use it a little bit.
We've got it, and it's paid for, and it works well, I'd say keep it.
Yeah,
How much do we pay for insurance on that piece of equipment, do you know?
Well, if it's 22 cents a thousand and we only put a value on it, some of these pieces of equipment, we put a value of 0. Don't pay anything. All we have is it's under our general liability.
So not a whole lot of money?
No.
Okay, so that's all I'm asking.
Okay.
yep,
not-
okay,
Okay?
yep.
Clement pricing for mowing remainder cemeteries. Number 11. Sorry, the numbers are out of order. I'll get that taken care of at the next meeting, maybe.
What?
I wanted to start the numbers from top to bottom, but they're all,
The Easter egg.
maybe I'll have that figured out by next meeting. I think we've all talked about this, we just didn't pass a motion. I've talked to him, he's ready to go on getting these cemeteries cleaned up. What was it, $3,000 to mow the other 2 cemeteries and $2,000 to clean them all up. Brings our total deal to $20,000. Am I reading that right?
Didn't we vote on that
I
last
think we
time?
did last,
I thought we did.
and then I think you called.
I asked, and of course, we don't have any minutes, so I don't know, and I wasn't sure that we did. It wasn't a problem with John. I told him we would deal with it tonight, and hopefully if everybody's in favor of this, which I believe we were last meeting, we'll vote on this and we'll tell him he's got the job.
So worst case, we approved it twice in a row.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Ronnie, second.
Second.
Second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Motion passed.
Who does that cemetery down on the Big Dip? Cause I don't see that one listed here.
That's a private one, I think, barn settlement?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay,
Skip Ball
that's
takes
private.
care of that.
What's that?
Yeah,
Skip
that's
Ball
private
takes care of
cemetery.
Yeah, I think that's a private cemetery,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, is that I think that's the one that, is that the one that,
Yeah,
Skip takes care of?
skip all right.
He would like us to help him out.
The next item is the decision on the EDR contract. I think, Bob, didn't you give us
I
something on
gave
that?
you a resolution, yeah.
Yeah, how many pages is that?
Well, it's got a copy of the contract.
Oh, that's the whole
attached, so you
contract,
can see it,
okay.
yeah. Mike, do you think you're gonna get the grant at this point? You do?
Yeah, we haven't heard that we're not, and if we do, if that changes, then this whole,
Right, if you don't get the grant, it's right. I'm just thinking my cover letter back to EDR should say you should understand that if we don't get the grant, this isn't happening.
Right.
Is this the one that we talked about when you were gone? When that
Yes.
guy was here? Cause I've been thinking about that the last few days with this, because remember, Shooky was here for the village and cause that's the other thing that was scaring me about this. Because we said we weren't gonna take out any funding for it, but the village does not, the contract, the way it was written, the village was not gonna pay me until, if I'm talking about the right thing, until the very end.
Yes,
And so we were gonna have to float that 600,000,
we're gonna be the bank.
we were gonna be the bank for the whole thing up front before we got half of the money back from the village. Are we gonna be able to do that now?
There's a schedule in here of the work schedule. I think it's towards the back.
That's a really
right
good
here.
question, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, one of the things that I'm thinking here is that we're already behind schedule on this. We probably will go more behind schedule on this because of COVID-19. So one of the things that I'm thinking is that more phases of this project are gonna take place in 2021.
They say they're gonna keep the schedule of being done by whatever, I mean, that was an answer I received yesterday or today.
Yep.
That they claim they're gonna keep that schedule, just so you're aware, this is EDR.
Yep. So that's one of the things that I've been thinking with everything that we're doing in relation to the grants and projects, is that some of these are gonna move in, not that everything's gonna be honky-dory and 110% back to normal next year, but we sure hope it is.
so according to this, they're gonna start construction after Labor Day and be done in February.
That's right.
Yeah.
They said they were gonna keep that schedule, which is
Yeah.
pretty tight.
The other issue that I had anyways, when Thomas was here talking, is, we're taking money out of our, general fund to do this. And the way it was broken up, it was $309,000 for each party, okay? They're gonna borrow money, they're gonna bond it, there's some bond money, bond issues and stuff like that, so there's some additional charges. So listening to him go on and on and on, is those charges were being split between the two parties. And do you remember that? I was like, no, we're not gonna do that because we're not borrowing any money, you guys are.
Right,
So all those additional fees are theirs. Our maximum involvement is $309,000, correct?
that's my understanding,
I
yeah.
mean, we need to.
But you remember that, he was saying we had to pay like a band,
Right.
even though we're taking money out of our own account?
They had that budgeted in there.
Right.
Yeah.
You weren't here for that.
Yeah.
It was,
Well, the other thing is the village was Chucky was under the impression that the village was gonna be able to trade some services. As
Right.
far as
Right,
like,
so
We took that out of there.
right, well, he didn't know that night.
Yeah. That complicates this whole
Well, it
project.
makes a lot more cash
Yeah.
on the village's part.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking through, like, at the end of December 2019, 3 months ago or whatever, our fund balance in general A was $1,074,000, okay? In our current year budget, we're taking a big chunk of that, as income. From the appropriated fund balance, $619,000. So, what I'm getting at is, so the 619 versus 174, so we're gonna have, say, $450,000 of fund balance that we could use to help finance. And the way the town is, we get all our money at the beginning of our budget year, so we've got cash. It's not like the school where they get it later on. So I guess the question is, getting back to your question, do we have the ability to be the banker on this? I can't remember what he said as far as the state, like, in other words, we would pay all the bills and then submit to the state, and they would give us half of that back, right?
Yeah, that's how that process works.
So, with that in mind, so it's, and I can't remember, he said how often we could bill or whatever, what was expected, every so many months or something like that. So I mean, worst case scenario, we're gonna be on the hook for the villages part, which is 319, or 309 or something.
309.
No, but it's like the three, they had their band costs on top of that, so I think that's 319 or maybe even a little bit more.
Okay, I'm just trying to,
Right, you're
in other
totally
words,
right.
what we're gonna be on the hook for,
Right,
and then get reimbursed from that, we'll be whole eventually.
you're right.
But we've got like 450,000 in that one fund balance. So I guess we could, be able to front them, and then they're gonna pay us back. But worst case scenario, if they don't pay us anything, the project's all over with, we've fronted 309,000. Right?
Did I say that again?
I'm just saying, if, worst case scenario, when this is all done, all paid for, they owe us 309,000. I'm just trying to put in perspective on what our fund balance is that's left, and.
Well, I'm just, another way to look at it, when it's all said and done, we've only spent 309.
309.
Right, but if we're paying the village's part also.
Right, but I mean, what I'm saying, they'll give us some money back, but at the end of the day, 309 comes from the town of Alexandria, no more.
But it could be 618 is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah, we're gonna be fronting some upfront.
We're the
And
bank.
it might even be a little bit more than that, because we'll have to pay other expenses before the state and that's where I'm concerned.
yeah,
Is
we'll be
not,
paying part of the state.
we're gonna be paying part of the state's, cause what'd you say his name was?
The part of the state, so,
Thomas, when Thomas was here, he said, we paid phase one. However much it is, say 300,000. And then we submit that to the state, and they reimburse us half.
Right, we get 150.
So we'll get 150 back, so then we're back down to 150, which 75 was ours, and 75 was the town.
Yep,
Then we're gonna do phase two, and that's another 400,000 that we gotta pay out, and then we submit it to the state, and we get 200,000 back. So at any point in time, we could be out, but my concern is there any chance that the state is gonna cut this?
Well,
yeah,
I'm just saying, and if they cut this, and we don't get the streetscape money, it's been set aside for a couple of years, this has been in the process for years. But what is the probability that money is going to disappear?
and one of the things that they say to us, because this has been in the process for a couple of years, is that money was allocated, and as you said, that money has already been set aside. And that was in a budget that was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I'm not sure which. That money is set aside. Don't get me wrong, I don't wanna sit here and say, oh, the state will never take that money because it was already allocated. I don't know that. The other thing that I will say is that I believe the payment program on this, and if my phone wasn't dead, I'd call Tom, but I believe the payment program on this is, I think you submit your documents and you get paid every 30 or 60 days. It might be every 60 days.
yeah, like Sandy was saying, you might
Every 2
submit
months.
300,000
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
The other thing, I was just looking up, that our 309 is part of our 2020 budget.
yes.
So that 309 to 618, 309's already been budgeted.
And the reason you got 618 out of there is because you got Bonnie Castle out of there and you got 309 out of there. And that's where you get the 618.
I was thinking, well, 618 was coming, we're gonna front the villages part, was what we were getting at there. In
Yeah.
other words, and eventually we're gonna get that back. It's not a matter of like extra expense, it's a matter of cash flow.
Was that 309 that was budgeted for the streetscape program allocated out of the reserve funds?
Yes.
Well, put it this way.
Well, yeah,
it's-
fund balance.
Mike, do you have Nicole's phone number on your phone?
It was, 309 is part of General A, and
You want it
General
now?
A has
Huh?
600 and
Yeah,
some
we should have followed
$1,000 worth of fund balance in
In
it,
it
so
right now?
yes.
Okay.
Do you have Tom Hayden's phone number on your phone?
In
I don't
addition
think
to
so.
that, there's a fund balance of what you said before
450.
You looking for his phone number?
Okay.
I might
Right.
have it.
So, we had 74 or
Yeah, it's on the bottom of that paperwork, Bob, I think, or that letter from Tom.
Which pages
Yeah, I
are you
got the
looking
emails
at, Ron?
here, so
I'm looking
I don't have
under,
her phone number. I don't have her
it's
number.
under fiscal year ending 12/31/19.
Does anybody have
Yep, what
Nicole's
page at
phone
the
number?
bottom?
Page,
This is cell number, just about of that.
you gotta go past the profit and loss and go to the balance sheet. So it's page 1 of the balance sheet, it's right after page 7.
I want you to call Tom Haynes, the cell number, and ask him about the payment process procedure on this grant. You get paid, you submit the bill, you get paid every how often, or any other questions that we just asked about that.
And it's actually on page. Page 4 of the balance sheet.
We could over this, audio system here, ask Nicole to call your phone, like,
You see that page 4 in the balance sheet? And about halfway down, fund balance
Hey,
general
Thomas,
aid, 1,074,000.
Mike Fayette from the
Yep.
town of Alexandria.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, I don't know if you're watching this on YouTube or not, but, we're in the middle of a board meeting, and we're asking about, the payment schedule and how, paying for this, streetscape.
Yeah.
If you could kinda elaborate on how that works?
So it is, we will submit invoices, I believe they said that they're quarterly through DOS once we have the town,
quarterly?
yes, agreement in. And so if you have, say, an invoice for $100,000, you'll submit it, and DOS will reimburse you 50%.
50%, yep.
Okay, that's,
Every 3 months.
Yes.
Okay. Do you happen to know what the agreement is with the village as far as the 309 from them, and are they gonna have an additional cost to borrow the money? And who's paying that?
The additional cost to borrow the money would be from the village to pay. And the way that agreement was written is that they were gonna pay at the end of the project that we discussed the last meeting, or the special meeting. Was that the village would reimburse the town at the end of the project.
for their entire share.
Correct.
Yeah, but you just said, so the village would reimburse the town throughout the process,
No.
at the end?
At the end.
Okay,
So, it isn't gonna be 50% or 50%, it's not
so
gonna.
we're just looking at our cash flow is what we're looking at, and we gotta fund the village's 309 till the end of this project.
Correct. Which I know, I think we were told last time that it wasn't a concern, but I obviously understand now that no one knows what sales tax is gonna do. So you guys are probably looking at that in the long term, correct?
Yep, yeah, that's why we're concerned and we're asking these questions about the financing.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, anybody got any other questions for Tom from Dick?
No.
No, Tom, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
No, not at all.
Yep, okay, good night.
So our,
What's your cell phone?
it's gonna be towards the tail end
777-1695.
that our biggest exposure is gonna be.
No, but,
So when this thing is all done, and we send our last bill to the state, the village at that point is gonna owe us 309,
Right,
plus we're gonna be waiting for our reimbursement from the state.
right,
So that's where our max is gonna be.
yep.
Not that letter.
Yeah.
And by the time that happens,
what?
according to this, it's gonna be
1695.
February of '21, which means we're going to have, cause the town, we get our money here and eventually it goes down, we're gonna be at the peak of our cash flow in 2021 when this thing is winding up. I think we can, I guess what I'm getting at, I think we can do it.
That's all I wanted to hear.
Nicole, if you're listening,
like Sandy was saying.
Nicole, if you're listening, could you
I
call
thought
Mike's
that the
cell
village
phone
would
at
be contributing along with us,
No.
but they're not.
777-1695?
No, they made that clear at that last meeting, sorry.
Okay, okay.
I just wanted to have Nicole clear up the situation with the 309 is at the 618, which I think obviously, I think it is because it's 618.
Oh, I got Nicole.
Is that her?
Hey, Nicole?
Hey, Mike.
Hey. Yeah.
Oh, she's on speakerphone.
Okay, did you want, yeah, I got Brian here, I don't know, did you want to talk to him?
All right, I'm here again.
You better tell her to turn her volume down, or it's gonna get real confusing.
Turn the TV down, would you? Are you there?
Some ladies about a 10-second lag, the beep button.
Murder she wrote.
Can you hear me?
Better?
A lot
Yeah, that's a
better.
lot better.
I turned you guys off.
Okay, so we got 618 in that budget, is that 309 of that? 618 is for the streetscape grant?
Yeah,
And what's the rest, the other 309 for the villages?
No, it's just overall income being brought in to bring,
the Bonnie Castle purchase.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's what I thought. Anybody else have, what else do we have for Nicole?
I can't believe she's not watching us.
She is.
she
I think
is.
she is,
Turned
she had to
off.
turn us down.
Oh, okay.
If we have more questions, go through Mike's phone for
Okay.
for texting or calling, mine's dead, okay?
All right,
Thanks, Nicole.
you're welcome.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
I got it from her number.
Brent, is yours a
What?
phone?
I got it up there on charge.
Oh, you do, okay.
What a circus, huh? Technology. So where are we at? How's everybody feel about this?
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
Yep.
Sandra?
Yep.
Okay. I gotta read this thing, Bob, or you
No,
gonna take
just,
it?
they all have it, just who's making the motion, who's seconding it, we can go.
Okay, so we need a motion.
So how much total money are we talking that they're gonna cost us?
This one right here?
Three
How
of
much are we talking?
You're talking about this EDR thing, right?
Yep.
I'm just saying, when we make a motion on this, I think we should mention that.
309,000, right?
No.
149.5, and it was,
Yes.
yeah,
120 and
it's on that cover.
39 is 159.5, isn't it?
49.5.
39.5?
149.5. Right down the middle of the cover page.
Yes, 149.5, yep. Okay, so we need a motion to approve this CDR contract for $149,500 to author the environmental design and research landscape architecture for expanded scope of professional services for the downtown streetscape improvement project. That motion by,
I'll make a motion.
Ronnie will make the motion, second,
I'll second
by
it.
Sandy. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? No. Okay, we got through that one. Decision on taxpayer assistance to appoint community representative for the streetscape. Not something we have to do tonight. If anybody's got any ideas or names or whatever, this is something we do have to do.
Right.
Anybody?
I had a thought, and that's, he's actually a resident of the town of Hammond, but he has a big business downtown, which is Butch Riefenschneider.
Yep.
And, I've asked him if he'd be willing, if the board decided to pick him. But he's got a great eye for, aesthetics, and he's traveled a lot, and he's seen different things, and, I think he'd be a good plus for it. Just, you know, we can decide at the next meeting or whatever, but
Yep.
I just wanna throw his name out there.
Who's this?
Butch Riefenschneider, he has Dark Island Spirits, the distillery,
Downtown?
yeah, downtown, so he has a vested interest in the downtown, where the project's actually taking place, and, he's got a substantial investment there.
Yeah, he's done a beautiful job at his place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he just, cause you need somebody with an eye.
I think he's a great idea. Is there any reason because he's not a resident that somebody's gonna balk if we,
I guess I would ask, our council if that's a disqualifier,
He's a taxpayer but not a resident.
right?
I don't know what I don't know what the rules of, you know, the committee are,
Yeah.
but certainly, I mean, if he's an
Well,
active
I'd
person
say-
downtown.
Well, the way the grants written, that they wanted 2 village board members, 2 town board members, and then,
2 members of the public,
right.
right. So this would be the town's appointed representative from the public.
I don't know if there were any constraints on the 2 others. They were very specific on the 2 board members, but
Yeah.
the other 2, I don't know if they had anything.
Yeah.
But the village is selecting somebody in the village.
They already selected Cindy Penn, I believe.
Okay, so she lives in the village.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have a business owner, so you have a resident, okay? And I think he's got a good mix. I think he brings a lot to the table.
Yep.
I do too, and he's done a fantastic job with that place down there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got my vote so long as there's nothing prohibiting it.
I don't see.
Well, I think that's something we gotta ask Tom Haynes from Dank, and I don't think it's critical that we appoint this person tonight.
Okay.
We can wait 2
Yeah,
weeks.
'cause I don't think they've got a meeting, put it this way, I don't think they have a meeting scheduled between now and the 22nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just gotta remember to ask Tom, about, Sandy's got a good question about, taxpayers.
Residency, yeah.
Yeah, residency.
Yeah.
Okay, number 14, transfer site, P&L, increase bag fees, implement stickers, or whatever we're gonna do. That's 14, isn't it?
Yep.
13.
Where the hell is that number?
Easy now, easy.
I don't have a 13.
That's where the beat comes in.
Do you have a 13?
Okay.
14, right?
14, yeah.
Yeah.
As you can see, Nicole's put together a profit and loss for 3 years, 17, 18, and 19. I don't think looking at the actual really tells us much, because it doesn't have a month comparison. As I said, I think the revenue at the dump is down a little bit in the last month. But you can see that we're losing money at the dump. One thing that isn't in here is this pretty much has got Byron's payroll in there. Byron takes 3 to 4 weeks of vacation time every year. I think he's actually has earned 5 weeks, he hasn't been taking it all, which we're hoping to have him take it all this year. But when we have the person go up there and fill in for Byron's vacation time, that person's payroll, I don't believe, is on this sheet.
Should be, yep.
But obviously it's realistically a cost. Nicole, if you're listening, you could text that to Mike, but I'm pretty sure that when Trevor and Gannon worked there at the dump last year, that payroll is not included in these figures we have. This is, I believe, 100% of Byron's cost, total cost, employer and employee. You can see where the numbers are at. I took the $90,000 in revenue that we have at the dump, roughly. If you divide it by $2 bags, that means we take in 45,000 bags. If you divide it by $3 bags, that means you take in 30,000 bags. So if we take in half and half, that's 37,500 bags. If we raise the fee $1, that's $37,500. I don't think anybody that I've asked has any idea when this rate was established or when it was raised.
I think we gotta look at this dump deal seriously. There's no reason why we're running in the red there.
What's that?
This dump deal, we gotta do something about that.
We're not charging enough.
Yeah.
I understand, I've been told that you got $2 bags, $3 bags, and you go up there and put 3 $2 bags and $3 bag and charge $3.
Well, something we were told at a meeting a while ago was that a 55-gallon bag is $3.
Well, this,
The person who told us that said you could put 7 $2 bags in a 55-gallon bag.
so we gotta customize the size of bags. I mean, we've got,
So-
Again, I'm back to thinking that we should sell the bags, because they're all uniform. Or something. But I guess, didn't, the comptroller told us the best way is scales, I have no idea what that costs.
That's a lot of money.
All right.
That is the best way to go,
But
no
we
doubt.
gotta do something different, because we shouldn't be losing money, we're paying by the ton to get rid of it, we should be charging by the ton to take it in.
It seems like, from hearing what you just said, it seems like the smaller bag ought to go up $1, and the bigger bag ought to go up $2.
Yeah, but how many different size bags are there? I mean,
Well, that,
if we sold the bag to them, they'd all be the same size,
yeah,
we wouldn't have that problem,
yeah.
I would think. I mean, I realize it's another pain in the rear end, but there's all different sizes of garbage
Do we
bags.
wanna get in the bag business?
We've gotta do something, because we're losing money up there.
Well, the only thing, what I'm thinking is, we could change the cost that we're charging right now, tonight,
Oh, yeah.
and do something to our income stream right away, and then continue to go, whether we go with the bags or whatever, and then that could take the place of what we do tonight.
Okay.
But again, just like we talked about, going down the line, every day that we put off raising the rates,
Yep,
we lose that ability.
yep.
I would think people would understand, we've gotta charge as much to take them in as this costs us to get rid of it.
Right.
See, they all understand that.
But no, I agree, I think that we should do that tonight, why wait? The others, I happened to go over to the town of Theresa for a different reason, or their town court rather, or town hall, and, they do stickers. And it seems to work really well for them, I think it'd be not a bad thing to go over and kinda talk to them and see what they do to make their system work.
Do they sell the sticker at the transfer site?
At the
Yeah.
transfer site and at the town hall.
So you can go to the transfer site, pay cash for the sticker.
But we're supposed to get the cash on the transfer side, we've been told this, Brad.
No, that is very true.
We were told this quite a few years ago.
Yeah, but there's other ways you can do it. You can
Oh,
do
yeah,
a,
there could be credit cards.
you could do a sticker system with numbers and with an inventory.
We can get it.
I'm worried about us taking the cash out of the transfer site and having the transfer site sales go down 30%,
Well,
and having the garbage end up on the road.
everybody has credit cards these days, can we just get a credit card swipe up there? That'll take the money out.
Yeah.
How much is that?
Well, you can.
3% you lose, or 4%,
Well, you can, yeah, you're allowed to charge a convenience fee.
like we do for our taxes.
Right, so you could make it a neutral deal.
Yeah.
And you could probably use like Square or something up there, or, that would just operate off, Wi-Fi, for that matter.
Well, we've talked about this deal with bags and stickers and everything else for 4 years,
Yep,
off and on.
Or?
at least.
Some people did a lot of research on it, matter of fact. We had all kinds of proposals in front of us for buying bags and going to stores in the area that are gonna sell them and everything else, and there's a lot to this. I like what Ronnie says, let's raise the fee and let's figure out what we're gonna do, because we need to deal with this income stream. And the sooner we deal with the revenue stream, the better off we're gonna be.
So let's raise the fees tonight and then not kick the can down the road so far to get this thing taken care of.
Yeah, but we've kicked it down the road for 4 years.
We've done it, we were all set to do the bag, and then all of a sudden we didn't wanna do it because we're coming on the tour season, and we were told, oh, we don't wanna monkey that all up, and we'll put it off again. Well, we gotta quit
We
putting it
just need
off.
to do it.
I'm not in favor of bags, just because it's a lot of work to get all these people and Wellsdale and everybody else into this bag system, and you gotta sell them at all these different places, and you gotta supply them, and you gotta stock them, and you gotta inventory them. The stickers seem a lot simpler system to me.
Well, we can try the stickers, as long as there's always a sticker on every bag in the dumpster.
It's still not a foolproof deal, because I think Mike said this to me the other day when we talked about it, and said, well, the way to tell if it's working and it's being used properly is just when the garbage gets dumped, see if every bag's got a sticker on it, or see if every bag's a Town of Alexandria bag. Well, who's going to Jefferson County and watch that happen?
No, but if you've got a camera up there at the
Yep.
transfer site, right by the chute,
Yep,
that looks at every single bag that goes in,
I agree. That's what,
Can I just tell you what they do in the town of Watertown? It's all bags, but if you go there with your own garbage bag and just throw it in, the guy stands there and says, he decides whether it's a $2 bag or a $3 bag, and what he does is he goes and gets, for inventory, he grabs a bag that, he holds the inventory in his office, he throws the bag in the truck with it. So at the end of the day, they count how many bags they have left, they know how many they
Yeah.
sold, and that's what he does. So you worry about tourists not having the bags, they don't have to, they can go there with their own bags. Your guy at the dump can say, that's a $3 size bag, give me $3, and then he just takes a bag and throws it in.
There's a brand new $3 bag into the garbage.
Just throws it into the garbage, yep.
Right.
Where's this?
Watertown.
Watertown. Guy stands right there,
Yeah.
and it works, apparently, I mean.
Wow.
I think the stickers would do it too, though, but then you got different sized bags.
This is the problem.
You can have different stickers.
Size bags.
Yeah,
Yeah, you had different stickers.
right.
I'm just saying it's a
But
big.
we gotta do something, we keep talking about this.
I'd like to make a motion to change the cost of our small bag.
I'm still thinking on the $2 versus $1. We're at $2 and $3.
Right,
Go to 4 and 6, 4 and 5, or raise them each 2, if you raise them each 2, you go to 4 and 5. We got 60,000, what do we got here? $66,000.
right.
I came up with $1 a bag at 37,500 bags, it gives us $37,000. Okay, that leaves us
Depending on what the mix was.
$29,000 in the hole.
Right, so we go to
Still.
so $2 and it just it sounds like there's a big discrepancy between the big bag and the small
That's
bag.
what I'm thinking.
We need to be charging more. So do you go $3 more on the big bag, $2 more on the little bag? But you need to spread, there should be a spread between those two bags.
Yeah.
Right now it's a
Rather than
dollar, right?
$1, you're right, that's another good point.
But you thought it was like, you said it was what, 45,000 bags, right?
Well, I just did the arithmetic with a $2 bag and a $3 bag, okay?
Right.
I guess I'm gonna say, and anybody else, who else here goes to the transfer site? Everybody?
I don't.
Do you use more big bags or small bags? I go every 2 weeks and I have 20 big bags and 3 small bags, but I'm taking them for my business. And the 20 big bags I got are 55-gallon bottle bags, they call them, and they're filled to the brim. You use big bags or small bags? And when Byron charges for a small bag, I believe the small bag is a 13-gallon kitchen bag.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, how much we gotta raise? We gotta raise 70 grand, right? Cause we had a $66,000, cause 2018 was a little abnormal because they've got, payroll in there for paving the road going up to the dump.
Yeah, it's $10,000 extra in there.
Right. So it's not like we raised $70,000, we're gonna be okay? So that's 70,000.
I mean, one of the things that I'd like to make sure that taxpayers understand in this, we don't wanna make money at the dump.
No, we don't.
Our idea here is to break even, to provide a service to our taxpayers and break even. That's my thought. What does everybody else
If we don't break
think?
even, it's our own fault.
People that are not using the service are subsidizing the service
Yes.
presently.
Yes, they are.
So, if we do 2 and 1, I'm not sure it'll get us, because if they were all, you said the big bags are $3 each,
Yes.
so that's where you got the 30,000, and then the other ones are 2, and that's where they got the 45,000. So if they were all big bags, it's gonna raise 60,000, we know they're not all big bags.
I got a feeling that more than, the majority of them is though, or more than 50%, you know.
I think $2 and $1 is not gonna do it.
2 and 2.
Two
Or no.
and 2 would, but then you've still got this.
$1 gap.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta change the $1 gap.
It's almost like 3
I
and
agree.
1.
I agree.
So right now you got 3 and 2, right? So if you went 6 and 3, $6 for a big bag, can you fit 2 of those small ones in a big bag? Sounds like you can fit
Put
7,
3 in,
right?
what they tell me.
What's that?
They tell me, you put 3 $2 bags, a $3 bag, and get rid of it for $3.
Okay. So that
That's gotta stop.
makes no sense.
I don't,
So,
I mean, I think where we're really losing more is on the big bag.
so
And it's $3 right now.
it ought to be 6.
6 and 3.
6 and 3, yep. So I'll make a motion that we change the cost at the transfer site for a large bag to $6 and a small bag to $3.
Motion by Ronnie, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Sandy. Any further discussion?
The only discussion I have is we gotta finish this whole
sticker deal or
discussion.
what-
Yeah, we gotta get this done.
We're gonna start finding a lot more bags outside the road now.
This is gonna this will probably create some public input what we're doing tonight.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
And we need to say,
But the rationale is black and white.
and I think Pam McDowell's listening to this, cause she texted me earlier, we need to say that we're gonna implement a sticker or a bag or something else to go along with this. We're just doing the pricing for tonight, effective when.
But the stickers are gonna reflect exactly what we're doing
Oh,
tonight.
yeah, but I'm just saying, we keep doing partial solutions.
Yeah. So we should look into like taking credit cards up there also. With a convenience, everybody's in agreement, the cost of the credit card should be passed on.
That has to be passed on.
Well, it doesn't have to, I mean, businesses choose, you're allowed to pass it on or not pass it on. I think in fairness, the person paying the cash.
Okay, I'll.
I think it should.
It solves a number of different issues, the number one being, there's no money involved. That kinda cleans that whole situation up.
Yeah.
Okay, I can allow that.
What do we
Okay.
end up with here? You lost me.
Well, I mean,
The motion is
it was just
$6 and
a discussion,
$3.
that's all.
Yeah,
So that's what we're really, this is all extraneous to what we're talking about, but
But I'm just saying,
it's
but
important.
we were doing a discussion part, and
Yeah.
I'm all in favor, we gotta get this, we need the revenues to more closely match the expenses, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Okay,
Do we wanna talk about the gallon size of a small bag versus a large bag, or we don't wanna go there?
well, it seems like there's a process in place,
Yeah.
so
I mean, when we talk about a small bag, we're talking about a kitchen bag.
I don't know what Byron talks about up there, I mean,
Yes,
yeah.
small
And,
bag would be your kitchen bag.
and your household bags really are two different sizes, or your bigger bags. The standard medium-sized garbage cans that a lot of people have are 30 or 33 gallon bag. And then the big bag you can buy that's either called a leaf bag, or in my case, they're called bottle bags. They're 55 gallon bags. And when you wanna throw away a lot of stuff could be heavy, you buy the steel shank 55 gallon bags. And you can put a lot in them. So, the motion is, we just don't.
So that would be the $3 is for a maximum 13 gallon bag,
Yep.
and the $6 is a maximum 55 gallon bag.
Yep.
So I'll amend the motion to the $6 is for bags up to 55 gallons.
Yeah.
And the $3 is for bags up to 13 gallons, is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay,
You okay with second and changing that?
Yep,
Okay.
okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay. The next one, we've already talked about that, I don't know that anybody have any further comments on that, we're just,
Well, where do we stand on all that?
what's that?
I'm just, I don't know,
Well, if you direct me to draft a local law, I'll do it.
Because there's a drop dead date involved.
yeah,
August.
And when
first,
is that?
yeah.
First week in August
First
or
week
whatever.
for filing, for getting your ballot proposition on the ballot, you have to have it in the first week of August.
Right. So if we say August 1st, there's other things that have to happen prior to that.
Well, it's a local law, so it's gotta be introduced, and then you have to schedule a public hearing, and after the public hearing, you can vote on it.
so when is all this?
So you're basically
start?
you're two meetings out, if we introduce it next month,
Well, we got a meeting this month, so we've got an April, May, June, and July meeting. We got 4 meetings left before the 1st of August.
well, the sooner the better, cause, otherwise, you know how it gets.
Yeah.
So, all
How
right,
can we have a public hearing
you have to have a
with
public
all
hearing.
this?
He's saying, how do we do it during this deal?
Well,
So that'll be an argument to.
there have been rules published on public hearings for these meetings, and you have to have a situation where people can send a text message, or excuse me, an email then someone has to read it aloud so everybody can hear it.
Yeah.
And then it gets answered, and that's how you do it. Unfortunately, with these electronic meetings, they just come out with some guidance that says when you hold one of these streamed meetings, not only do you have, I don't know if we have it backed up so people can watch it later. The rules actually say you have to transcribe the minutes, not just create your regular minutes that have to be done within a couple of weeks. You have to transcribe them. That's word for word. That's impossible.
It's a court reporter, in other words,
Well, I think the persons who are using the language don't know what a transcription is.
right,
Because to transcribe a meeting is way worse than transcribing a deposition. You're just asking one person questions back and forth. But when you're at a meeting, you don't know who's talking, you don't know, you know, if you've ever had a stenographer at a public meeting, stenographer runs the meeting, because they say, I can only take one person at a time,
Right, yeah.
be quiet. And then the stenographer runs the meeting, because otherwise you can't do it. So, the way we're dealing with it in the city is we're saying, look, if there's 2-week time limit on preparing your regular minutes, we'll prepare our regular minutes. As far as transcribing, we're gonna keep them in electronic form so somebody can come back and watch the meeting,
yeah.
okay? And if they insist that it be transcribed, then we'll have to, okay? But the time and energy that goes into transcribing a public meeting is
That'd be
ridiculous.
really expensive.
I don't think the Department of State's thinking much when they come out with rules like that.
Right.
It's just me. Yes, I know, I'm on record.
Yeah.
But, whoever's saying that's never done it, okay?
So that could be an agenda item for our April
How
meeting.
can we have a public hearing when the public can't be here?
Well, they can be here with the camera system we have,
And audio.
and then,
Okay, so we need to publicize it as much as possible to give people, that's.
And you have to tell them how they
go
go about putting in their input and what email to write it to, and then typically it goes to the clerks sitting there, and then someone has to read it, whether it's a clerk or someone else has to read the question or read the comment or
Yeah.
whatever for the public hearing.
so we'll need a laptop with, through the Wi-Fi, hooked into the email system, and just take emails as they come.
Okay, I'm just asking the question, so it gets it on the
Yeah.
record.
So if we made the motion at our April meeting in 2 weeks, then the public hearing would be at our next one.
Well, you can
on the
schedule a
20
public hearing for whichever meeting you want. You don't have to have it at the next meeting.
I didn't know
It has to
between
be,
the time.
60 days?
Yeah, something like that, but I mean, you might wanna schedule for the end of May, cause maybe all this stuff will be lifted by then.
Right, right.
You know, so, but at least you'd have it introduced on the floor, and you could schedule your public hearing and get the ball rolling, you know what I'm saying?
So if we did that at our April meeting in 2 weeks, you could schedule it maybe for our June meeting, the actual public hearing? Because at the end of the public hearing, you can actually make a decision, right?
That's correct,
Okay.
yep. I'll double check on the timelines, but I'm not familiar with there being any ridiculous timelines on scheduling the public hearing. If you wanna schedule it further out, cause you think people are gonna be here from the summer, for example, who wanna
Right.
talk, I mean, you can do that.
Well, the
too.
big thing will be this stopping, yeah.
Right.
Why don't you check on those timelines?
Yeah, well, I'll put it in,
And-
if you want to, I understand that you want.
And get a hold of me and
Be
we'll
two
put it,
separate,
we'll plan on putting it on the,
two separate propositions, I would
Well,
think.
there are two positions you're
positions.
talking about, and then, did I see something else that you talked about collecting property
Tax collector?
taxes too? So, there's probably gonna be 3 local laws. Cause we're reducing the duties of the town clerk, that's one,
Okay,
and then, well, I mean, the proposal is to do that. And then, changing from elected positions to appointed, they each are gonna have to have a separate
right,
local law. So there'll be 3 local laws you'd be asking me to come up with.
right.
Okay. All right.
okay. If you check into that, Bob, and,
Yes.
and send me something, I can, put it on the agenda for the meeting in 2 weeks.
Right, okay.
You want,
So we on number 16 then?
cause we've kind of not read what it is that we're talking about. Do you want to say publicly right now what we're getting ready to, or no?
I don't care.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
Just because people listening right now, they're probably like, what the hell are those guys talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, I'm assuming they can see the agenda, and you're
And
right.
I'm assuming they probably can't,
Yeah.
so.
yeah, so what we're talking about here is, we're talking about having Attorney Sly look into the timeline so that we can, schedule public hearings to change the town clerk's position, the highway superintendent's position, and the tax collector's position, right?
Supposed to leave that mask on when you, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'll be more specific if you don't mind, Brett. I'm being asked to draft local laws for the town board's consideration that are subject to both public hearings and for mandatory referenda in November that would change the town clerk from an elected position to an appointed position by the town board, would change the highway superintendent's position from an elected position to an appointed position by the town board. And then separately, because our town clerk right now collects property taxes, whether that person is appointed or elected, the request is that we take those duties away from the town clerk, leave the ability with the town board to ask the county clerk to collect our taxes. That's
Those
my
are the three things.
That's my understanding of what you're asking me to do.
Yes.
Okay.
And that also will require a referendum, because it's removing duties from a public officer.
I was gonna say, or is that it, or are we looking, cause I know we haven't discussed a lot about this property tax, and I've got a lot of questions. Just removing it from the town clerk and having an actual tax collector that may only be here for 3 months.
Now, my impression was it was gonna have the county do it, 'cause it
Well,
was,
that is something that it's been discussed, but
yeah.
I'm not,
Well, that would be a separate proposition to create an elective office. So we'd have to have a local law for that, to create an elective office. That also would have to be approved by the voters in November. Okay, so I'm trying to,
Right.
I don't know what you want.
I'm not interested in that at all.
What?
About hiring somebody to come in just to do the taxes. And my whole interest in this is, I was led to believe that the county, which is the beneficiary of the bulk of that tax bill, does the collecting and then remits to us. Have we found out if how much they charge for that, or they get charged anything at all?
I think I sent you guys, I had you guys in the email chain, and my last communication with the administrative office and Karen Christie, the treasurer, was that there may be an administrative charge, and when I asked the administrating office about a charge, they said, they were looking into it, and there may be a charge for the mailings, and then I asked back, for mailings, are we talking about postage? Are we talking about the cost of envelopes, and so on and so forth? And their answer to me was just for the mailing, which I said, you mean the stamps? And they said, yes, the stamps.
Okay, which we're paying for right now anyway.
Yep.
Okay. I like what I hear so far.
Yeah, that sounds awful cheap.
Here's my question. When people are paying in 3 installments, there is an additional fee for that second and third installment. I would like to know, Nicole, if you can help us out with this for our next meeting. How much do we generate, because that's normally money we keep, for those second and third installments?
Mm-hmm.
And because that, from my understanding, that is what now the county will get. They'll get all that extra money. So what are we giving up to have them collect it?
I think when
That's
we
my
went
question.
through the numbers the last time, the cost to the town to do the collecting was somewhere around $10,000.
Right.
In excess. So the question is, we're gonna be giving up that, how does it compare to $10,000?
Right.
Yeah,
That's my question.
yeah.
I have another question too. If you recall, when we got into the tax collector issue, involving the town clerk, and remember there's a law that says the tax collector has to be in the town offices so many days a week during tax season. So have you addressed that with the county clerk? I mean, how does that work? And the purpose of having a tax collector is so that people come in and pay their taxes.
Right.
I don't know how those two jive. Does anybody now have the county collect their town taxes?
Yes.
I was just gonna ask that, I believe they.
Yeah, Shucky's told us that he definitely knows the towns that have the county collect the taxes.
So it's being done, whether it's being done legally or not, is another question.
Well,
Well, I think it has to be done through Roxanne and Karen, and
Yeah.
hopefully they're the two that I've been talking to.
yeah,
One's the county assessor, county,
Real
what is that?
property, she's the director of real property, Roxanne
Yeah.
Burns.
Roxanne.
And the other one's the county treasurer.
Right. Well, put it this way, the fact that they're already doing it for a
Yeah.
couple of towns, ought to make for a pretty simple,
Yeah.
you
Couple
know,
phone calls,
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll check on that if you want.
yep. Okay. But I know on the tax bill, and it's probably, does everybody think that it's by percentage that it works? Because you pay your taxes all up front, it's $1,000. If you pay them installment, it's $1,030. In other words, you can see, there's figures on everybody's tax bill
Right.
of what the difference is.
Yeah,
My understanding is if it, say it's 1,000 and your first installment's 500, you pay your installment fee up front on that first payment.
Yes, you do, yeah.
So say it was 500,
Because the last
250,
two, because the
250.
last two payments are the same.
Yes,
First payment's higher.
right, and
Yeah.
it includes the installment fee.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a response from, Nicole on Sandy's question. She goes, it's really not that much, maybe 2,000 or 3,000. Look on last year's profit and loss report under General A, and interest and in the area of the interest and penalty revenues.
So 2,000 or 3,000,
That's, the installment question.
so,
Interest and penalty real property tax is $1,334.
There you go.
yeah, but
Thank you, Nicole.
that's got interest for when you pay them late.
Well, put it this way, the one that Sandy's talking about, well, that'd be interest too, they'd be paying the interest to the county too, so we'd lose the interest and we'd lose the fee.
Yeah.
And it looks like the total of that's $1,334.
Yeah.
So 10 grand, $1,334,
I don't, that number to me seems awful low, but, I mean, okay.
Yeah. We'll have to look into that. Okay. Okay, town accounting firm, RFPs. That's a number item here, isn't there? Number 17? Anybody got a 17?
No.
Hmm? I got it right here. Yeah, okay, I think everybody's got it. Here's our pricing, Grossman St. Armor,
And Nicole's also, in the same thing, I always question why that number was so low.
she thought it was low too?
she thought what was low?
It's not right,
Well,
in my opinion.
I guess the question is, who has the money? We get all the money, right?
For what?
So I'm just thinking, like, in other words, if the money was being remitted to us by the county, you could say, well, maybe they didn't give us enough. But since we handle all the money, that number, if it's kinda small, it's our own fault that it's small. Cause we're handling all the money. Just saying. Cause it doesn't seem like all that much. So that's something we can check between now and the next meeting.
Going to those price quotes there, I've got Grossman St. Armor with those different rates. We were back and forth with AFPR today, because we were trying to get them to give us an hourly rate, because they put a ton of hours on what they figured it would be. They got 120 hours, and we tried to tell her that it's not even close to that. So that, you see that figure, that's $10,000 for 10 months. The other ones have got different rates for the different levels of people. I thought that and Nicole, if you're listening, I thought that Grossman St. Armor had sent us a rate of, an average rate that Mike has sent us. Can you text us and tell us, is it the 4 different rates that are here on the paper, or did she, am I not reading this correctly? It ranged from $175 to $80. I thought we had an average rate, or a rate quoted by him as $150. And I don't see that here anywhere, unless I'm missing something. Maybe, but I see Bonadillo's got the 150, so maybe I got them mixed up with them. She's worked with Mike Lassonde from Grossman St. Armor. She feels very comfortable with him.
Four different rates, she's saying? I don't know if that answers your question.
She said 4 different rates?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's worked with Mike Lassonde from Grossman St. Armor. She feels very comfortable with him. We had 4, 5, or 6 different questions we asked him with the end of the years in our AUD. He was very prompt at getting back to her. I saw the answers that he answered her with, and a couple of the answers were over a page long. So he was pretty thorough, and you could tell by what he answered and how he answered it that he had really gone through our financials, because he touched on a lot of different parts of it. Bowers and Company, we don't have much input there. I talked to the lady, and Nicole talked to the lady. I think you guys have the quotes too, don't you, with that paper?
Yes.
Yeah. And she explained a little bit there. She said that mostly this guy, I think his name was Adam, would be doing most of our work in only time, and he was $125, yeah, Andrew Smith.
What company do you with?
Bowers.
Okay.
Yes, Bowers.
Does Nicole have any kind of feel for how many hours she thinks, billable hours, they're gonna generate? I realize that could change, I wouldn't hold her to it, but I mean...
Nicole, we talked about that today, or yesterday, as far as how many billable hours, or how many hours we actually thought we needed the CPA. What did we come up with for those hours?
Cause it just seems like, to be fair to both sides, that last one, the 10 grand, $1,000 a month, I don't see how, to be fair, I mean, I like the idea of being billed by the hour, and Nicole would obviously know what was involved each time she calls. She's gonna generate a bill.
I mean, we, like I said, we did go back and forth with the Tina from EFPR. EFPR is doing the village. Ronnie, you and I sat at a table with Tina. I think you sat up with it probably more than once, if you went to couple budget sessions down there.
Yep.
I've heard nothing but good things from the people at the village, and I spent 45 minutes on the phone with Tina last week, and she seemed very thorough. Nicole spent an hour on the phone with her, and
I think all 4 of these, as far as capability and everything, I think it's a level playing field for all 4, to be honest.
Yep.
And so then it comes down to cost and rapport, and, you know, because Nicole's the person that's gonna be...
Yeah, she's saying no more than an hour a month plus more at the budget time and the end of the year, you know, closer.
No more than an hour a month it's a lot less than 10 grand.
Yeah, it is.
So in my mind, we can like cross the last one off the list and make a decision between the top 3.
I mean, 3 or 4 of you have been involved in our budget session, and you know that we had 4 or 5 budget sessions, and they lasted for 3 hours each. And Sherry was here for those, and we paid the CPA rate for Sherry. I think that we probably all feel that we could do without that.
I agree.
Nicole did 90% or more of the work for preparing all the stuff for Sherry.
Yep.
So, I mean, I went to the budget meeting that Tina was at, and she was very valuable to have there, but I think you could have your person be at that one budget meeting that's kind of towards the end of your budget process to finalize and summarize everything. That's just my feeling.
to me, the AUD is the big thing. Are they gonna handle the AUD?
They will handle the AUD, but here's again, Nicole prepared all the documents for the AUD, got everything
So
ready.
that'll keep the cost down.
Gave him to Bill Dasnall, he came here, he sat with Nicole for 3 hours or 4 hours,
Right.
and they submitted the AUD.
Right.
And this is the first year in 3 years that we've submitted the AUD, and we didn't get questions back from the comptroller's office in the next 2 weeks,
Great.
you know? So,
I think it really need to concentrate on the rate and if it's a tie all the way across the board, whoever Nicole's more comfortable with.
yeah.
Nicole likes the first one, like plain. Right?
So again, this is something that we don't have to, I guess we don't have to make the decision tonight.
Well, let's compare number 3 with number 1. Cause Bonadeo, it's gonna be $150 an hour, right? Okay, I'm looking at the number 1, okay? I can't see us always talking to a partner. I don't see why a partner would be involved. This is not rocket science. So that means Nicole's always gonna be talking to somebody lower on the list. So with that in mind, we eliminate number 3. Because every time she talks to somebody, we're gonna get paid we're gonna pay 150 with number 3, as opposed to when she talks to somebody on number 1, it's gonna be less than 150. So now I would look at it as it's between number 1 and number 2.
And what I'll say about number 1 versus number 2, 90 miles versus 30 miles. But that's probably not a big deal, because how many times are they gonna have to come here?
To physically come instead of electronically.
You know, and obviously you don't expect them to charge.
Yeah.
Or you don't charge for travel, do you?
I don't,
Nicole plainly states she likes number 1.
What's that?
Grossman further away or
Nicole
Bowers?
plainly states she likes number 1.
Grossman,
She likes number
Syracuse,
1.
and
Very
Bowers is
comfortable.
Watertown.
She's gonna deal with them most of the time.
Right. I don't have a problem with either number 1 or number 2.
Well, if she wants,
And
if she likes
some-
number 1, then that's
I don't think so.
good for me.
Yep.
And the other thing that I can say about Bowers being a Watertown is there's been a couple times, for me, 2 or 3 times. There's been some times 1 or 2 times for Ronnie. I think there's a time or 2 for you, John. What I'm saying is that we took documents and got in a vehicle and went to the accountant's office and asked questions.
Right.
And had sessions.
But I would hope that kind of stuff is, some of it's behind us. I would hope. But again, with scanning and, you know, the electronic capabilities, I don't think physically, and with a Zoom or whatever, I don't really think that the mileage really means anything.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'll make a motion to go with number 1, Grossman, St. Amore.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second that.
second by John. Any more discussion? I agree. I've dealt a lot with Mike Lasan. He's been very helpful. He did our UB Max audit. He did a good job on that. He's been very prompt. I think it's
That's number 1, right?
Yeah.
Grocery center, okay.
Anybody else have any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Okay. Town Health Officer Public Notice, I think I gave everybody that. We posted on our website, we posted on our doors. One of the things that, maybe it's here someplace. I've talked with Cindy Simpson. If we wanna get more out of her, or we wanna go to her, I know Sandy's had some questions to me about, what is our hospital saying, what are they recommending, you know, does Cindy have any more else to say about this? That's what I got from her. I told her that I had been called about an issue that the highway barn guys were riding in trucks together and no mask on, and she addressed that. She thought that was a pretty bad thing and we needed to do whatever we could do to change that. I had a talk with Mike Dibbles about that, and he he told me he would take care of it and that he had been taking care of it with those guys. I know Mike just got a new shipment of these masks in. These masks that we have on were provided by Mike. They came in the last day or so, and he brought us another box of them here. That's kinda where we're at. I put a bunch of things, 3 or 4 different things on our website about the coronavirus and warnings and social distancing, and there's a deal on there about how to properly wash your hands, different things like that. Anybody sees anything that they think we should have on our website, please call me or tell me or forward it to me. The other thing that I'm asking everybody to do, or somebody to do, is to come up with some stuff that we should put on our electronic billboard at the rink that faces the school. So, anybody else have any comments on that? Sandy, if you've got a couple minutes one of these days, you could stop up here and you and I can sit down and we can figure out what we'll put on that sign down there. That sound okay?
Yep.
And then Ronnie's volunteered, his employee who works on that computer to program those signs all the time, and we could get him to come to the rink, and probably it wouldn't take him half an hour to do
it,
that.
show somebody else how to do it, but, yeah, not a problem.
Okay. So we'll do that. I'm not sure the next item, we only have, of the 2 employees we laid off, one of them is on our health insurance policy. And we're not sure where to go with that. Obviously, the health insurance, how's that usually work? I mean, obviously, that by law, they're able to go to COBRA. And COBRA means you stay with your existing policy that you have, and the laid-off personnel pays the premium 100%.
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes.
So, and do you have to officially notify the employee of that?
Yeah, you have to give them notice of their COBRA rights. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so, Nicole, we have to officially notify the employee of that. And anybody else have any other thoughts or whatever? There was some discussion yesterday about furlough versus laid off.
So maybe Bob can elaborate the difference.
I'm not really sure what a furlough is. I don't wanna give a
The difference between laid off and furlough?
I'm not familiar with the term, frankly.
I think
They both get unemployment.
furloughs, no, they're both, you can draw unemployment with both.
That unemployment is like $600 above what you get now. I mean, it's pretty good money.
Oh, yeah. The furlough
for quite a while.
is more of a intent to rehire sort of thing.
Furlough has the provisions in it to, continue the health insurance also.
So it's a technical term then.
Yeah. But they were both given, papers and they were officially laid off.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
We didn't do a furlough.
so we'll follow standard procedure, everybody?
So they both, well, one didn't have, health insurance, right?
Right,
So just one COBRA notification.
yep.
Seems like whoever's handling our health insurance must have a form. That's a pretty standard thing.
I would think so. I'm not sure who's supposed to send the notice.
Seems like Nicole will be the one to send it, would seem.
Yeah, Shookie's pretty much the guy who's handling the health insurance end of it. He did talk to Bill Chamberlain yesterday about that, but
All I'm saying is Bill Chamberlain, I'm sure has a form
Yeah.
that could be put on town letterhead and then,
I'm sure of that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, next one, Bob, is yours.
Yeah,
And Norris posted the notice,
well, here's the
and
thing.
and he sent the certified. And the person accepted the,
Okay,
of course, I didn't ask Norris, Norris should have the thing back that he signed. I think Norris's word to me were, he thinks he accepted it because he never got anything back. If they don't accept it, you get it back in the mail.
you talking about a certified thing? No, they sign for us and you get the,
then you
Right,
get.
but if they don't sign for it, we get it back.
you get the whole thing back,
Alright,
And he says he never got it back.
okay?
that doesn't mean the person got it then.
Well, here's the other thing. You can send certified mail and for $2 less, not get return receipt requested.
Oh boy. Okay, that might have been the case, you think?
I don't know.
There's gotta be a receipt somewhere, cause you have to pay for it either way, one's a little bit more, but the receipt would say right on it.
And the other issue, Bob, is I read that letter that you produced on November 22nd, and it talked about a December 18th date for court.
No, the
Right.
December 18th date to come before the town board and explain why it is. Didn't go to court. Says, the notice he was sent, or should have been sent, saying there's gonna be a hearing held before the town board on December 18th, at which time you can present any evidence you deem advisable in connection with whether the town should order the demolition of the structure and cleaning of the property. It all has to do with, under our ordinance, the way it reads, you had voted that it needs to be destroyed. Then he has to be given notice and an opportunity to come in and explain why it shouldn't be destroyed. So, for example, Dad just died, I haven't had a chance to clean it, give me a little more time, whatever. That sort of a thing, appealing to the town board's decision to tear it down, because your ultimate decision, your decision to tear it down ultimately would allow you then, if you tore it down, to put the money that it cost on tax rolls, to be a lien on the property.
So we gotta start this over?
Well, that was the first that I had heard that Norris had posted it, and the first that I had heard that he was sent notice. And then I guess I need to know for sure that that he was sent the notice. Let's see.
He may have sent the notice, but suppose we don't have any proof that the notice was received. Doesn't matter? Does the notice have to be sent by certified mail?
No, it doesn't say that. In our ordinance, it doesn't say that, and he went out and he personally posted it. And you told me it's still erect. See, you and I perhaps Norris and I had a misunderstanding. I asked him, as you know, a while ago, whether it had been resolved. He said, yeah, it's all cleaned up. Oh, cool.
It's all cleaned up?
No.
Oh.
No.
Well, we were talking about it, okay.
There was a misunderstanding apparently, that's fine. Could have been my misunderstanding, but,
Well, I guess
if he was mailed the notice and he posted it and he didn't show up on December 18th, then I say go ahead, do what you gotta do.
I mean, by rights, when he posted it and he goes over there and he puts that sign up that you provided here, you should take a picture of it.
I think it's always good to be able to prove that you did. Now, it's my understanding it's not a place worth anybody saving. I mean, there's rats all over and everything else, what I understand. It's a trailer, right? Did it have a fire?
Yes.
I saw it yesterday, and it's a mess. They're gonna have to wad it up with a dumpster.
Well, then just do it. But, if he comes in and says, well,
There's
I
a little
never,
truck there too, right beside it.
yeah, I don't know about the truck.
Yeah, I don't know either, but
Yeah.
the trailer itself it's gotta go in a dumpster. They'll have to take the frame, maybe somebody sell that for steel, but the rest of it's a mess.
I mean,
Beer cans.
I'm really in favor of the town going in there and cleaning it up. I just wanna make sure we have a means to get
As long as you don't get in trouble, it should be done.
reimbursed.
This goes down the tax rolls, right, and it'll end up at the county?
It would be a lien that we would place on the property as a tax, that's right.
So we will get reimbursed by the county?
Well, that's a good question.
How does that usually work?
Well, if it's on as a tax, if the county, they make us whole for our taxes, right? Well, I don't know if that counts.
The county has the right to pass that on or to not pass that on, and they have a classification as to what we put on the tax rolls, if they do reimburse us at their standard once-a-year reimbursement, or if they do not, and there's different things that they do and different things that they don't, is the way that I understand it.
Yeah, I would believe that they don't.
From our
or
meeting
something
and our
like that.
situation that took place at Jeanette's, when we were talking about different
I know, well,
things.
we made a lot of money on Jeanette's, think about it.
Yeah.
you know.
The property's worth nothing, I mean, whatever goes down the tax rolls, somebody's gonna get stuck with it.
I mean, here's the deal, if it goes on the tax
Yeah.
rolls and we don't get reimbursed for it, and we spend $2,000 over there cleaning that place up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
John's right, that thing goes up to public auction,
We have,
okay?
we still have a lien on it.
Nobody's gonna pay $2,000 for it, are they, John?
I don't think so, because,
No.
Well, it comes down to whether you wanna clean it up or not.
Yeah.
It's a matter of,
Well, we do wanna clean it up, and
We should.
I wanna clean it up.
it is a mess,
Huh?
it is a mess, it should be cleaned up.
you need a motion to start the process of getting bids?
Well, I thought hopefully we clean it up ourselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really would rather speak with Norris and make sure.
Yeah.
I believe that he posted the notice, I don't have any
Yeah.
issue with that.
Yeah.
I'd like to know what he did to mail it, and.
Not only that, Bob, but I'm gonna say with Norris or with Ron or whoever, I guess with Norris, you need to have them email you back a letter saying what they did do. So you got it in writing.
Yep,
So we can decide on this 2 weeks.
Well, he's gonna discuss with Norris, and hopefully Norris will send him a letter that says, I posted it and I sent the letter. If that's,
well, ultimately, he may be called upon to sign an affidavit to that effect. If
Yep.
he's willing to swear to it, then I have no problem.
yeah. Okay,
So, if we can legally clean it up, then we should check, because there might be some scrappers that might do it for the light poles. Hard
Oh,
telling.
that guy over in,
Hmm?
the guy over in Omar, that old trailer that was on my property, that was just, there was no fixing it. He took everything. He took it apart piece by piece, he dismantled it, he cut up the sections, he took it, he scrapped it, and he gave me half the money that he got for the scrap.
What's his name?
We take the rats too?
That big,
$50 a
20
beer
years ago,
can
he
for
used
this
to
one.
ride a bicycle all up and down Route 12 and pick up cans.
oh, yeah,
You know who I mean? He's a larger gentleman.
yeah.
Yep.
Had a rack on the bicycle.
There's a lot of money in beer cans in this trailer, I saw it yesterday.
He's a retired corrections guy, lives in Omar.
Sounds like, wow,
So let's see if we can legally clean it up and go with it, and try it.
Okay.
yeah.
Alright. I'll speak with Norris.
But I think he would do it and it would cost us nothing.
Okay, well, you'll check with Norris, right?
Yeah. And the meeting's the 22nd, is that the next meeting? The next meeting's April 22nd? Is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the next one is yours, Bob.
Yeah. Does everybody have a copy of the
Yes, they do.
proposed? Okay. And, I want to be clear, I have no pride of authorship of this thing. I'm not saying this is what you should do. I just, as I told Mike the other day, I was just trying to get it off the dime, you know? We had to start somewhere.
Did you get the picture that I sent you today with the comptroller, legal department names and addresses?
Did it come in late this afternoon?
No, earlier, to your phone.
Oh, it's my phone. Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
That was the two lawyers that handle all the special districts,
You did send me that.
litigation and regulations
Yep.
in Albany,
Yep.
that I spoke to both of them, and I actually left a message with both of them yesterday.
Mhm.
I'd like to set up a conference call with you and I and Mike and them and anybody else who wants to listen, because these are the guys that really make the rules, enforce the rules, and tell you what the rules are for the comptroller's office
Right.
in Albany, and I had a real good talk with them. He told me a lot of interesting things. I don't have my notes right here in front of me, but one of the things that they talked about, Mike, I told you the two statute of limitation deals.
They were much shorter than I
One of them was
would
6
imagine.
months. And it was, that was if the town made an error
Mhm.
in the ordinance or an error in billing or something along those lines. the statute of limitations, if the town made the error, was 6 months,
I'd like to
which I
talk,
thought was.
I'd like to talk to them about that, sure.
But anyways, so I set up, or they're gonna get back to me.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe they're working out of home, so, a conference call. The only other thing I was gonna say is that I know, Sandy, do you have some things that you'd like to change possibly, or edit?
There was a couple things, but I don't,
And one of the things I was wondering, Bob, about maybe saving time tonight and letting you have some more edits or things that people wanna change is, maybe, do we wanna send those all to you?
Please do, yeah, I mean, I'd be
And
happy to
then-
receive. I know I got some comments from you in connection with,
Now, well, wait a minute here, we gotta get this thing to them. We gotta do this as soon as possible.
well, I know, but
So,
I mean, do we have enough time between now and our next meeting, or is it gonna be?
no, I think we should send this, try to get this thing in the mail by the end of the week. If, depending on what time you got to change a couple of the things that we wanna tweak. And we can make a motion tonight to approve it and send it, have it
so
sent.
you want it out in 2 days, is
With-
what you're telling me?
With the changes.
You want them out in 2 days, is that what you're telling me? 'Cause that's the
Well,
end of
if
this
not
week.
2 days, then by next week. I just hate to say 2 weeks from tonight, and then it doesn't go out till after that.
and I was okay with 95% of it. There was just a little bit of wording on this one paragraph that I didn't like, and I can just show you right after the meeting.
Yeah, please, yeah, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I got some comments from you,
Yeah.
Brent,
Yeah.
because dealing with timelines and prior boards, et cetera, and I got that. Mike called me today on one of the issues, -90, and we talked for half an hour probably, and they were all good comments, and I'm happy to incorporate things. Believe me, I'm happy to incorporate things.
Sandy, you
just
wanna
took
take
a
a
stab
second
at it.
right now to go through it, so that after we go through that, we can make a motion to have Bob
Sure.
do the edits that we talk about and finalize it.
You
On
did.
the,
Which
on the
one?
red one, the 19M-90,
Got it.
on the first page, the bottom paragraph number 1, I just wondered, would it sound funny or not be correct to have, because we're doing this to combine all the water districts to make them more uniform, or to make them uniform. Should we have water districts ordinances, as in all of them rather than just one, or are we only concentrating on that one water and sewer district at this time?
Well, it says, ensure that each water ordinance in the town, so that would be all 5 water ordinances.
Okay, so ordinance is enough to cover all of them?
I think so.
Okay.
By
that-
each, yeah, I think so.
All right, and then I just was hesitant with what we've been going through each, because we've been meeting every Wednesday to go through these, different types of categories. The very bottom 2 lines, such as homes in a seasonal mobile home park, which would change the
Right.
1 EDU.
Yep.
I'm hesitant to put that particular phrase, just because of the way we're trying to do it. I think if we just leave it more general with particular categories,
Yep.
i.e. commercial, if we're based off of a single-family home, commercials, we're gonna come up with a chart like what the state has of EDU categories that fit our area,
Right.
and then amend them, we're taking their guidance and then amending them, but we're also gonna, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, have the total number of new EDUs we have for the districts, and look at how doing that cap affects everyone, and so I'm just hesitant of putting those specific things in there right now.
That's fine, because it is just a roadmap of what we hope to do, it's not what we're actually gonna do. And Mike spoke with me specifically about that, seasonal mobile home park, and that came from me. I mean, I lived on Seaway Ave in the town of Orleans, and there's a seasonal mobile home park down there. They just put a water district through there. That's only open 6 months a year, period. There's no water service if you move in there before
Right.
Mother's Day. And so they assigned them half an EDU, that's what they did. So that was my thinking when I wrote this. I had
Because
no
we have
real-
so many seasonal people up here, if they see that we're doing a park that seasonal is a half or a quarter or whatever, then, well, I'm only here half the time too,
Exactly
so
what Mike
why?
was, it's exactly what Mike was saying.
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
that was my, I was like, ooh.
I agree with you, and I.
Yeah, and then you're trying to define what's seasonal. You know, it gets out of control.
Yep, I have no problem. Well, it all comes down to how many EDUs do you want to assign to each, and that's fine.
I think,
I'll be more generic.
well, I think that's a proper phrase, you know, we're, like Sandy's saying, we've been in, I wish I could say it was easy, it's quite a struggle just to get through a few topics. And, but I think just make reference that the town is gonna develop a table of EDU,
Property.
what are charges, or however you wanna say it.
Yep.
And
For
to
types of
apply
property.
towards all five, however many districts we're ever gonna have. I mean,
Yep, fine, I'm happy to do that, thank you for that.
And that was the only one
Again,
that
I was sitting in the cabin without running water at the time I dictated it, so.
Okay, so at that point, we'll take a
Anything else?
motion.
I don't want anything else?
Nope, that was really the one section that I looked at that I was
Okay,
like,
how
ooh.
about the other ones, the broader thing about the water and sewer district financial?
Well, like I said, I would take the same, like what Sandy and I are talking about, kind of take that same concept of that, you know, we're gonna be developing a table.
Okay,
And instead of, you know, every place where we kinda single out, you know,
Okay.
various things, I think that just too specific.
okay,
I think, you know, just, we're gonna have a table that's gonna cover everything.
and we're gonna treat all five of our water districts the same, although
Exactly the
Redwood's,
same.
you know, the, Edgewood's different, I suppose, but,
Yep.
okay. No, that's great.
So if everybody's good with the couple changes that we have, we'll take a motion to let Bob, do those changes and finalize this, and I'll sign it, we'll put it on town letterhead and send it off to the comptroller's office.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Yeah, if I were you, I'd call and tell them it's coming, but you met, it'll be
Yep.
done, you know, by mid-next week or something like
Okay.
that, okay?
I'll make the motion if you need the motion.
Motion by Sandy,
I'll second that.
finalize it and finish the editing and, sign it and send it off for permission for me to sign it. Need a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mike, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. We don't need to do the adjourned meeting because we're gonna go to our regular meeting date of the 22nd, right?
I've got one more little thing here, Brad. Is there anything we do about Diane Frost water down there? I keep getting asked,
About Diane Frost water,
her water that.
Is that the
On the end.
chlorine level in it?
Hmm?
The chlorine level in
Yeah,
it?
that and, yeah,
Have you talked to Jamie David?
no.
He's the one to talk to, that's who I go to every time she calls me. He tests the water,
Okay,
he takes it to Watertown and has it
I know.
tested in Watertown, it costs us X amount of dollars, it passes the test.
Are they checking for chlorine?
yeah, she's on the end of the line.
She's on the end of the line,
And
dead end line.
The problem, cause I spoke to Susan about that, and basically, like what Brent's saying, I took what I got from Jamie, told Susan, I hope that she would talk to Diane, but Diane is at the end of a dead end street, and the last user, the problem is she doesn't use enough water.
You know,
And she needs water out of her tap to move the water to keep the chlorine levels where it needs to be. The chlorine levels are match whatever standards we need to get at, but she obviously would like something a little bit different than that.
I mean, without it physically a loop or something,
That's a problem.
cause I know they had an issue one time with like Highland Ave and St. Lawrence Ave. And I think what they ended up doing is putting a line across
They loop them.
to loop it so that you would have that. I'm not familiar where the property is, there's no way to loop it with something else.
You know, Lake Street,
everybody
going
looking
out of
for,
Buffalo Lake, this Lake Street goes off to down the end of that.
everybody looking for.
That's all rock over there and everything too, right?
I mean, the only thing they could do is shoot a line across over to Stein Road and make a loop that way,
So that's not feasible.
but it's not really feasible.
Okay. So this has been forever,
Yeah.
this problem.
Well, it's kinda a built-in problem with what we have out there. The whole district is a big dead end.
Right.
It's not, I mean, it's not really a problem, it's not the ideal system because it is not looping, but because of stone and geographics of it being far apart, but that's why, you know, Jamie goes out and he turns the, you know, at the end of each one of these streets, there's a fire hydrant, and that's why he goes out and he tests them, you know, every week, and he, you know, turns them on and flushes them out to make sure that we don't get stagnant water.
Oh, okay.
You know, because that was one of the questions I had when I was going through the sewer district numbers. If we're billing for this amount, but, you know, we've been billed from the town for this, where do we have a leak?
Right.
Was my question is, geez, you know, that's quite a bit of gallons that are gone, and, you know, when I went on my ride with Jamie, he showed me, I couldn't believe how many fire hydrants there are that he has to, how often does he do it? He does it,
They'll have to exercise them at least once a year.
oh, he
Every
does
single
it,
hydrant.
he does it way, I think he does it once a month.
Yeah, I think he does
But
too.
you're talking about, you know, the chlorine residual thing?
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think he actually opens up every fire hydrant at least once a month to get rid of that stagnant water that is sitting there.
Right.
So, and all the tests and all the chlorine is coming back fine,
Before or after he flushes it?
but when it starts to get low and get to a certain level,
Yeah.
he goes ahead and flushes it, and he said, he actually lets it run a little bit longer than than absolutely necessary, but to make sure that those chlorine levels are real high,
Right.
so that he doesn't have to do it as often.
So we're trying to take this the next step. I know, I spoke to him about this a couple of days ago. Last year, we pumped 12 million gallons in the Redwood Water District. We sold 10. So a couple million gallons worth of doing exactly what Sandy is describing.
Let me add,
Keep the levels where they're supposed to be. It's 16%.
Does that take into consideration leakage?
Well, that's mixed in it, as
I
well.
mean, leakage is,
Yeah, there's leakage as well,
Quite a
but I'm just saying that it works out to be 16% of the total amount of water.
Okay.
Quite a bit gets in there, there's leakage as well.
let me add to that, 2 years ago, when we're going through all this water stuff, a year and a half ago, and we see that these percentages, like he's saying, and we went through, we got billed for X amount of gallons by the village, but we only billed our customers Y amount of gallons, which was less. You know, he explained what Sandy's saying, that he flushes these hydrants, and he might do it once a month, and there is a bunch of hydrants over there. Well, I said, we gotta know how much water you do that with. So we went out and we bought, and I think we have 2 now, don't we, Mike?
Yeah, the meters.
We bought meters that you put on the hydrant when you flush the hydrant. So when he flushes a hydrant, he should have a book that he writes down, Lake Street, flush the hydrant, 2,500 gallons. So that, because we're trying to track every gallon of water, it's the same situation that sometimes is a little bit harder to handle when you have a fire and they gotta draw out of a hydrant. We like to have Jamie get to the fire early on and put that meter on the hydrant. Because you could have a fire that could use 100,000 gallons. So that's just another way, Bob, that we're trying to account for all this water, because we see the level of what we get billed from the village and what we're billing our customers. So we're trying to close that gap.
Yeah, and, you know, Mike and I have been talking about, because I think you mentioned even at the last meeting, Mike, about how the Route 12 Water District should get paid for wheeling water to Orleans and wheeling water to Clayton. And right now, they're not. And back it up another district, the district you're in, should get a wheeling charge for going through Route 12 to Orleans to Clayton.
We also sell water to Theresa. And we don't charge them a wheeling charge.
Yeah, I mean, all that goes to, you know, you need O&M on your pipes, whether the one's getting the water or not. They're only getting it because they're going through your pipes.
I got 2 more quick things, Brad, if folks are quick, because these things drive me nuts. Nate cleans up that flume, he says he has no problem, he wishes the town could send somebody in there to pick up the rubbish after he cleans it out once in a while. You know, the sticks and brush. You think that'd be impossible to have?
To do what?
The flume. Nate cleans the stop off the grates.
Yep.
He says, I have no problem doing that, because he wishes the town could send somebody in there once in a while to pick up the stuff that you got piled up there. We either send somebody from the town crew, or
Yeah.
Jerry used to do that,
Oh,
right?
are you talking about in Redwood
Yeah,
from the lake?
yeah.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
drive by and you look on the side of the road, you see that Nate's got a pile of brush there, because he keeps cleaning that out, as John says.
Okay.
He says he doesn't mind doing that, but he wishes that we could send somebody in there to clean it up once in a while. Get
I
stuff
thought Jamie was doing that, he's saying,
out. Well, I've talked to him a week ago, and if they weren't then, somebody wasn't.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, that would be
I
very
mean, that's on the
simple.
sides of the roads, I would think that's more
Highway.
town highway
Yeah,
could do that, they've got all
They should
kinds
be
of
able to go
trucks,
down there and
and
do that.
there's no reason why one of them can't go down there once a week and
Bring it
just
up.
check it. I mean, honestly, it's more of a roads thing.
Yeah, it is.
Jay should be cleaning it off instead of Nate, but if Nate, you know,
Nate says he doesn't mind doing that, he
Yeah.
just wishes they could pick up the stuff.
Yeah.
Do you mind talking to Mike about that?
Mike, you're listening, I know you are, please handle that.
Once a week, pick up the
Yep.
pile, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the other quick one is, beside Diane Frost, we got this house that's got a whole bunch of junk and garbage, and did you send Jay in there to see what he could do about it, and he just threw his hand in the air and couldn't believe it.
What is this?
And that house is next, is that the Petrie house?
I know who lives there, right across from Lutheran Church, right next to Diane Frost, and it is an awful mess.
I got a picture of it on my phone,
Yeah.
because I had Jay go to that house.
Right.
Jay go to that house day before yesterday and take a picture, and there's 30 bags of garbage out in front of the house. There's probably, who knows how much garbage is in the garage that the garbage is in front of. And I was thinking about having our guys go down there, pick up that garbage and take it to the dump. If we do that, we're gonna save them $30 times how much a bag, and we're gonna do it ourselves. They'll never take their garbage out of there. So I talked to Norris about it. I believe he sent a letter out today.
Yeah, we should be, but if we pick it up, we'll be in the garbage business still, before we know it.
So, I mean,
So, but it should be, it's a health hazard, I mean, there's gotta be rats there too.
yeah.
So, he should get a letter, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Yeah.
Put the burden on the owner.
Did you talk to Norris?
No,
Oh, okay.
okay?
We'll ask Norris about, send him a letter. The problem with this letter process and everything we're doing now is
I
that
know, takes forever.
after they don't do it, it's gotta go to court. And the courts, there's no court right now.
Right.
So that's one of the problems that Norris is dealing with on another situation. Right now, because was supposed to be a court date, or they're supposed to haul them into court, and
Sure.
that's not happening.
Have you looked around the Plessis post office still, speaking of garbage?
Mm-hmm.
That big piece of store, I never saw such a mess. If I lived in Plessis, I'd be screaming.
They are,
Hmm?
they are.
It's terrible.
Cause the other day, when I came through Plessis, cause you're seeing all these people doing challenges on Facebook, and so I thought, I know, after I seen your wife and Hanshu out picking up all that garbage, I said, I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna take pictures of unsightly properties, and then I took a walk through Redwood, and I'm taking pictures here and there, and I said, I'm just gonna post them, and I had no idea who any of these people were. I said, I'm just gonna post these pictures and do a challenge that, you know, while we're all quarantined, and, I mean, yesterday I helped my daughter clean off a part of her, spot there in Redwood. If you can clean up, send us a before picture and an after picture, and I'll give you a dinner for 4 at the Roadhouse or something. And I got reprimanded and told from my daughter that that was not a nice thing to do, that I'm calling people out that I have no idea their circumstances or why their places are, you know, left unsightly. But that, I've got a bunch of them, and I said, and I said, I'll even offer to bring my pickup truck over and help them. You know, 'cause some people just truly need help, and if you offer to help, you know, they do it, but if nobody offers, and I said, I wasn't trying to be mean and call people out. I said, I just, you know, I'm doing one of these challenges that everybody else is doing, but I got told no. So I didn't do it. But if you need help, let somebody know.
The only other thing I had is if Nicole's still listening, is we talked about putting some money in a CD, because of the balance that's in our account. But we can wait till next week unless Nicole texts Mike right now with the amount that she feels that we can do that with. We did that twice last year and we got a nice chunk of interest that everybody saw on the financial statement. And I just, going to the bank as often as I do with town money, I see the balance in the account, and I made a comment to her the other day about we need to put some more money in the CD. So, if you get something from her right now, we can talk about that, Mike, but maybe she won't. If not, we'll put it on the agenda for 2 weeks from tonight. I meant to get a figure from her and figure that out, what we were gonna do.
According to this, you've got a couple CDs already?
Yeah.
2 CDs.
Nicole says we could do 300.
She said we could do 300?
Yep.
Okay.
You want a motion, or just do it, or what?
Need a motion. Yeah, we should have it in the minutes.
Okay. Is it gonna be Watertown Savings Bank, or?
Yeah.
Make a motion that we, do a $300,000 CD at Watertown Savings Bank. You gonna put a certain time period on it?
It'll depend on the rate they give us for the different time periods.
Okay,
So
up to the budget officer, or?
Yep.
Town supervisor?
Yep.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ron, second.
I'll second.
Second by Sandy. Any more discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None.
I've got a couple things I'd like to throw out is, one, I think it'd be really good for the town board to commend, Susan Stein and Kathy Hanshu for the unbelievable pickup job that they did on, was that number 6 road and, 37?
How long did that take?
They were there like 9 hours,
Wow.
2 days.
That was impressive. That was very impressive.
And they worked till right straight through, they didn't take many breaks.
I mean, how many total bags?
There was probably 2 pickup loads. I don't know, Craig and I took them down to 37.
Tires,
Tires.
trash, everything. Yep. And take this, you need to do a better job on the brush pit. That is just,
I addressed that today.
it's up on the road.
I addressed that today, and we put 8 loads. I think Mike, if Mike's listening, maybe he'll text Sandy. I believe he put 6 or 8 loads of number 4 stone in there today.
Okay.
He went down there and first pushed everything back further,
Okay, good.
and he pushed it back and made more room, and I've had a lot of people, taxpayers, complain to me that they don't and can't back in there because the slope is too steep.
Right,
And
exactly.
Mike says the slope is too steep because everything underneath is rotten and soft, and it just is falling away and caving in. So we decided today to put 6 or 8 loads of number 4 stone in there, and I know that this afternoon that Maverick was hauling stone over there.
Okay, 'cause I just know, this time of the year, I'm not like a lot of people, cleaning the yards up and stuff like that, and I went over there 2 times on Saturday, and there were 2 different people there, each time, and both of them complained to me about, the kids get far off the road and this looks like crap, and well, actually I killed him the first day. I was like, who's in charge of this, kind of stuff. And
So it's fixed.
Yep. So,
it's unsafe too. I mean, you gotta get a decent distance off the road, because people go up and down that road way too fast, and it's just under the brow of that hill. It's just a matter of time before somebody gets had something real bad happen.
yeah, I've had quite a few people talk to me about it, so.
Talk about speed sign on Dingman's Point is not functioning.
Yeah, we talked about the battery dead.
I called Jay, said take care of it in the morning.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're all set. Need a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Motion by Ron,
I'll second it.
second by Sandy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Hey, good night,
I
everybody.
don't have anything for executive session. I just put it on there. I just.
I gotta